What is up, nerds? It is I, Ruben, with Nerd Space Games, here to do round 2 predictions of the best horror game of all time tournament. Guys, I'm pretty hyped about this. I'm excited. I can't wait to be jumping into round 2. Round 1 was a huge success. There was a lot of new subscribers coming to the channel just to go ahead and join the polls and start getting active in the polls and stuff. Hopefully, we have some new faces joining the stream too. It'll be cool to see you guys jumping in here. Be really awesome. I want to go look at something real quick. All right, cool. Yeah, so hopefully we get some new faces here. But as far as the creators, I'm going to introduce them in just a moment, but just a quick refresher about what this is. Essentially, I thought it'll be a really fun idea to just take some of the best horror games ever created. No, I don't have a haircut. It's just messy. It's a messy hair day. But take some of the best horror games ever created, throw them into a tournament, and just have you guys, the viewers, vote on, the community, vote on which horror game you guys think is the better horror game and should proceed in the tournament. And obviously, this being a Resident Evil focused channel, Resident Evil is probably going to have a lot of bias here coming into this. So I'm not that shocked to see a lot of the Resident Evil. I don't think a single Resident Evil game got eliminated in round 1, but we'll talk about that once I introduce the creators that are joining us for this stream. But yeah, essentially, I took a whole bunch of horror games, exactly 128 horror games, threw them into a tournament, seeded them based off of their Metacritic scores, and then you guys voted on each one about which one would proceed into the next round of the tournament. And with round 1 officially complete, we are moving to round 2. Today's all about talking about the results of round 1 and announcing the matchups of round 2. Some of you guys have been following the tournament, so you probably already know what they are. But announcing the matchups of round 2 and making our predictions for round 2, both what we think should move forward and what will probably move forward. So yeah, I'm excited. Before we get started, if you guys want to gift any memberships, helps the channel out a lot. I appreciate that. If we hit any of the goals, you guys know what the goals normally are. We'll definitely get one of those awards set up. And then if we get any super chats, we'll talk more about that. I'll give you guys quick shout outs, for you guys interacting with us. Speaking of which, if you guys want to interact with us directly, do so in the chat. We're going to try to interact with you guys as much as possible, especially if you're doing super chats. We will stop what we're doing to address the super chats, but the regular chat as well. We're going to try to interact with you guys as much as possible. It's really hard because there's 32 matchups, 64 contestants, 32 matchups in this round. So there's a lot of ground to cover, especially since we're going to be covering the first round results. So we're going to try to interact with the chat as much as possible. Super chats will get priority, but we are going to try to interact with you guys directly throughout the whole time. So make sure you keep letting us know your opinions, what you think should move on throughout the tournament, and all that fun stuff, all that jazz. You know how it is. And obviously hit the like button on the stream and share this video with your friends and family. Tell them about this poll if they're into horror games. Like, this is a big poll. This is a big deal. Let's make this a big deal. So I'm going to put my headset on. We're going to go ahead and introduce our friends from the other side. Let me get that going in just a moment. And we are here. We got them in here now. So we're going to start with introducing one of my good friends, Better Than Starlight. By the way, make sure you subscribe to everybody on this. They're taking the time out of their day to join us for this collaboration to talk about all these different horror games. So make sure you subscribe to each of these people because they are fantastic creators and they deserve your love. But let's introduce Better Than Starlight. How are you doing, Starlight?
I'm doing good. Sleep deprived does always, but good.
I think we all are, honestly.
So such is life.
Yeah, we're all night owls. I know my community knows that. I go to sleep at like 6, 7 a.m. Wake up like 12, 1, sometimes 2 o'clock in the afternoon. It's pretty rough.
Mm-hmm. It's the vibe.
Absolutely. We also have Conjure Line, one of the regulars on the channel. Conjure, how's it going, my dude?
Hey, thanks for having me. How's it going, chat?
Nice. And the end, last but not least, we have my boy Under the Mayo, who finally got around to playing Code Veronica. We'll talk about his thoughts on that later on. But Under the Mayo, how's it going, my dude?
Good. I have nothing particularly witty to say at the moment, so I'll just say hi.
We'll do a lot of bickering later on, I'm sure. We have different opinions, and I love it. you're one of my favorite people to have on the show just because we disagree so much. It's awesome.
And we
Uh,
can do so without insulting each other. Isn't that
Exactly.
nice?
See that
Yes.
that right there is a good non-toxic relationship. You know, it's okay to have different opinions. Don't attack other people's for having different opinions. Nothing wrong with having different opinions.
Unless you're intentionally trying to rile up a fan base, then go all out.
Yeah, I mean, we've all been there too, so that's totally fine. We give you permission for that, I guess. um,
A little rage bait never hurt anyone.
Facts. All right. But yeah, chat, like I said earlier during the introduction, feel free if you guys want to interact with us, let us know your thoughts and stuff throughout the tournament. We're going to be talking a little bit about the results of each round, but the main focus today is going to be on the predictions for round 2. Round 1 went really well. There's a lot of surprising entries, which we'll get to that in just a moment. I'm sure there's some of us are really disappointed about other entries making it through. But we'll talk more about that in just a moment. So without further ado, let's go and reveal the bracket for round 2. Voila, there it is. Actually, do you guys have a link to it still?
The one in the chat still works. I think it's pinned.
Okay, cool. So you guys can pull it up on that end, so that way, unless you want to pull up the video, that works too.
I don't have a link to a bracket. Where are we talking about?
So
There's
go-
no bracket on your stream. Oh, there it is. Okay.
Yeah, it's not.
Okay,
yeah,
it's good on your stream. now.
I got
Cool.
it. Okay.
All right, cool. Yeah, so we have the bracket up right now, so we're gonna take a look at it. Again, we're just gonna go through every single round. Same thing we did last time. The only difference is that we might like make a comment or two about how we feel about certain game winning over the other one in the previous round. But for the most part, we're just making predictions again, just having a good time, chatting it up, and see. And something I want to do a little bit different this time. On top of making your own prediction, go ahead and let us know which one you think the community is gonna vote for. Because a lot of these, I know exactly how the community is going to go. But there are things that I think should go on. So our predictions, we're going with what we think the community is going to do and what we want to happen. Make sense?
Makes sense.
Cool. All right. So without further ado, let's start with matchup number 1. We got the number 1 seed still in it. BioShock after it took out Fear to Fathom. Fears to Fathom. I don't know why I missed the S there. BioShock taking on Little Nightmares, which actually was a surprise to me. Took out Five Nights at Freddy's. The FNAF community was not there to support their game, I guess. So let's go talk about that one first. First, let me know. Let's go to Conjure Line because I know you were such a huge fan of the Fears to Fathom franchise. Are you surprised about BioShock? Are you sad about BioShock taking the?
No, I'm not. I'm not surprised. I think BioShock deserves the top spot, to be honest. Fears to Fathom is good, but it's good for only one playthrough. I feel like BioShock is freaking timeless. You can keep playing this freaking game. The whole series, actually, not only just the first game. This applies to the first game, right? Not just the series.
Yeah, no,
Just the first game, right?
that's just the first game.
Yeah, it's BioShock. I mean, no surprise there.
Okay. What about you, Starlight? What are you thinking? BioShock taking out Fear to Fathom.
Oh, BioShock clears.
Yeah. I think we were. This was one of the few matchups that we were all in agreement with, right? I mean, I'm pretty sure.
I think so.
We disagreed a lot. All of us did throughout this tournament. This was one of the first ones where we're like, all right, BioShock. I mean, come on.
Yeah, it seemed obvious.
Oh yeah, for sure. And then for all three of you, actually, whoever wants to speak up before we look at this matchup, Little Nightmares taking out FNAF. What do you guys think about that?
Everyone knows FNAF players don't play their own game, so I'm not surprised.
Damn.
But the lore.
The shade.
Yeah, they like the lore. They don't actually play the game. They just watch Markiplier play the game.
Yeah, they watch movies apparently. I mean, it's a $1 billion movie, right? Did it make a ton of money or something like that?
Really?
I think so. It made a ton of money. I don't know if it's billion. I'm probably exaggerating that, but it made a shit ton of money. That's why they announced the sequel so fast. So they were there supporting the movie for sure. What about you, Mayo? Anything to say about the two first matchups?
Not really. I mean, I've played both of them, but only a small amount. Yeah, I didn't play Fears to Fathom, but I played a little bit of BioShock, and I played a little bit of Little Nightmares, and I didn't play Five Nights at Freddy's. So, I mean, I just kind of went with the ones I knew.
Nice.
I'm kind of surprised Five Nights at Freddy didn't win because, I mean, it is so big. You would think that it would just have enough people to
It's
win.
just such a
over
passionate
smaller
community, you
title.
know?
Yeah, but I mean, maybe it's better that it didn't. Little Nightmares, I think, is more. I don't know. I think it's a more interesting game, but I say that as someone who has a small knowledge of it.
Yeah, I feel
But
that.
this Bioshock versus Little Nightmares, I think, is a much more interesting conversation, especially since I mean, Bioshock is like an action first person shooter, right? So, but it has
Mhm.
horror elements to it, and Little Nightmares is, I mean, I don't
It's
know.
like
I
like a
don't know what I
platformer.
would. Yeah, like a horror platformer. I don't know what I would probably personally go Little Nightmares over Bioshock, just because I find it a little more artistically interesting.
Nice. That's
Fair.
surprising to me. Nice. I think you hit it on the head there. The nail on the head. Is that how that saying goes, or something like that? Whatever. I think you're absolutely right when you say Little Nightmares is a horror platformer. I think that's the genre like that, Limbo, a Bramble,
In,
all those type of games.
inside,
Yeah, Inside. All those type of games are like horror platformers. I feel like so that's probably the name of the subgenre right there. I'll go next. I go back and forth. I really think BioShock is a great game, but I finally got around to playing Little Nightmares. Last time we did this predictions, I don't think I had gotten around to Little Nightmares yet. I finally got around it, and I actually really like Little Nightmares. And I know BioShock is probably gonna clear this, but I gotta go with Little Nightmares. I like the atmosphere of the Little Nightmare games, so that's what I'm going with for my pick. What about you guys? Starlight and Conjured.
I picked the same Little Nightmares. I agree it is a lot more artistic and more unique in the space and like the horror space currently. And that's the only one I play too. Apparently the sequel is like way better too, which I still have to play. So I'm choosing Little Nightmares.
Nice. What about you, Starlight?
I'm gonna stick with Bioshock mostly because this is like one of my favorite games. I do still like Little Nightmares, but I don't really play newer platformers very often. There's just something about N64 jank in my platformers that I really like,
Yep.
and I don't just the vibe and world of BioShock, the story. It's all stuck with me ever since I played it when it came out. When I was too young to be playing this game, so I'm gonna stick with BioShock. I like that game too much. I think the polls are gonna lean towards Little Nightmares though,
Really
but yeah,
interesting.
especially after reading the comments on the poll for the FNAF and Little Nightmares matchup, I think Little Nightmares is gonna get this. But I'm still gonna pull for Bioshock.
Yeah, I'm the opposite. So I want Little Nightmares to win. I think BioShock is just way too popular to not win against a game like Little Nightmares, but that's just me. What about actually Mayo and Conjured? I forgot to ask you guys that. Who do you think would win the poll? So I know you said which games you personally want to win. Who do you think would actually win the polls?
I'm still going Little Nightmares, just for the horror aspect. I feel
Mhm.
like like if horror fans are voting on this list, I think Little Nightmares has the edge.
Okay,
True.
Conjured.
What I think is going to win,
Yeah, what do you think's going to win?
I think it's going to be Bioshock,
Okay.
just by name alone.
All right, so it looks like we're pretty split on this all around. Okay, so moving on to the next matchup. I know Mayo's been waiting for this one. I know
Well,
you're
yeah,
Oh
happy.
shit!
You have to start. You have to start with this.
This is crazy.
Man. All right, so the next matchup by 93% to 7%, Resident Evil Village annihilates Dead Island, which it's a Resident Evil game. We shouldn't be too shocked
Makes
about
sense.
that.
Makes sense.
Mhm.
And then we got Crow Country versus Outbreak, and then Outbreak kind of annihilates Crow Country, which shocked me because
Poor
I
Crow
thought
Country.
I know Crow
Ah.
Country got robbed here, in my opinion. I know. So Conjure, you were a huge defender of Outbreak though during the last stream, if I remember correctly.
Yeah,
You
because of the multiplayer aspect. It does have its problems. Don't get me wrong; it's not a perfect game, but that multiplayer was ahead of its time.
Yeah.
For it being like a Resident Evil title too, classic RE. I just got to give it its credit. I
nice.
did like Crow Country, dude. Though. Don't get me wrong; I love Crow Country, but I just have to give it Outbreak.
I want to say you were the only one that said Outbreak. I think,
Mhm.
and I could be wrong. Starlight and May, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure
Oh, I
the
don't
three of
remember.
us when Crow Country and Conjure went Outbreak. I think Podcast Now did Outbreak just because he's never played Crow Country. But yeah, I am shocked to see Outbreak here. I mean, it is Resident Evil. I shouldn't be too shocked, but I thought the Resident Evil community knows Crow Country pretty well because it was pretty much a love letter to Resident Evil and its recency bias. I'm still a little bit shocked that Crow Country didn't beat Outbreak, but here we are, Village versus Outbreak. So let's just talk about the matchups. And now the matchup is going to be our first Resident Evil versus Resident Evil matchup of the tournament, which is great because that means a Resident Evil game has to get eliminated here. So the fans have to make a decision. So now this is going to be interesting because I'm pretty sure I know how Mayo is going to go on here. So we'll get to him in just a second. But it's going to be interesting because you have kind of a newer generation Resident Evil game, first person Resident Evil game with the third person mode. That's kind of broken, but we won't talk about that. Resident Evil Village versus Resident Evil Outbreak, a multiplayer Resident Evil game before its time. So let's go down. Let's start with Mayo because we already probably know his feelings with this. So let us know which ones you want to win and which one you think will win.
Yeah. Okay. Well, sometimes in fighting game tournaments, Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, Tekken, whatever, sometimes there's a guy going into grand finals, and there's two guys fighting in the losers finals to get in the spot to fight against him. And sometimes the better player will actually throw the fight so that another player can go up against the guy in grand finals because they know that guy can beat him, even if he isn't the better player. And so that kind of makes me feel okay about Crow Country getting knocked out because maybe the passionate fan base that Outbreak has can knock Village out where Crow Country couldn't have. That's the silver lining to the situation. Village doesn't even deserve to be on the list, and I'm gonna leave it there. I hope it loses, and I'm just gonna remain hopeful that it does. Come on, guys, don't disappoint me on this.
Oh, I'm picking Outbreak 100%. Like
Fleeta
no
Marie in the
questions
chat
asked.
said Outbreak walks so Village could run. I feel like that means she's saying that she likes Village a lot more.
Yeah,
the chat seems to be leaning towards Village, by the way. Just so you know.
Outbreak
Village?
Outbreak ran so a Village could run into a wall.
All right, what were you saying, Conjure?
I'm just gonna say the most cliche shit. Village is not a traditional Resident Evil game. Let's keep it a buck.
Don't say that.
Let's keep it a buck.
hate that
100. It
saying.
is not a traditional
All right,
RE game.
I'm leaving the call.
I
It
don't
is
like that
not
saying.
a traditional Resident Evil game. I'm sorry to say, it's just not. Where Outbreak is.
Mm.
So let's just keep it at that.
How is Outbreak a traditional Resident Evil game now?
It's
a
more
multiplayer
traditional than Village.
It's not fixed camera anymore, right? It's similar to that Silent Hill
It's dynamic
camera angle.
It
I
still
forget what
has
it's
that feel to it, whereas we have Lycans, we have, what the hell do we have in Village? We have all these multiple enemies that never existed in the series then, but all of a sudden, now we have these brand new strands that's just turning people into mythical beings. So I'm choosing Village.
Interesting. Okay. What do you got, Starlight?
We have
Oh wait. I'm
one
sorry.
of the
hold
most.
up. Starlight, one sec. Did you guys tell me which one you think the poll would go for? Both of you, Conjured and Mayo.
Oh, from the two, what I think is going to win?
Yeah.
I think it's going to be Village.
Okay.
To be honest, I think it's going to be Village.
Well, everyone knows that I'm an optimist. So I'm going to go with Outbreak.
All right. Cool. All right, Starlight, continue.
So for what's gonna win the poll, I think it completely depends what the algorithm, like who the algorithm shows this to. If it shows this to older fans, Outbreak will win. If it shows newer fans, Village will win.
Yeah.
But as for my opinion on this, it's one of the most innovative and underrated multiplayer games of all time versus Diet Resident Evil 4. So I'm gonna go with Outbreak.
Hi, Resident Evil 4. Oh my god. Whew.
Diet and warm.
Diet left out
I-
overnight, so it's flat.
I don't know. I will say I've gained a lot more appreciation for Village over, and we talked about this during the last podcast, that I played Village recently and I actually had a lot more fun with it than I used to. Maybe it's because I had my community right there watching me while I was streaming it and made it a lot more fun. But I actually had a good time playing it recently. And then Outbreak I did too. But for me, Outbreak gets a little repetitive, honestly.
I will say this. I don't hate Village. I actually do think
yeah.
Village is a really, really good game, but it doesn't feel my Resident Evil needs. Why I like Village is not because I like Resident Evil. It's because I like the action genre too. Like I also play Call of Duty. I literally play a whole bunch of genre of games, and I feel like that specific game fills my action, like gaming needs, and not my Resident Evil one, if that makes sense.
So just out of
So
curiosity,
that's why I enjoy it.
On that note, then, would you consider Resident Evil 4 your traditional Resident Evil game?
No.
Okay. That's like the
No.
second or third highest selling Resident Evil game of all time now?
Hell no.
Alright.
Not traditionally.
Don't point that out
I
to people. They're
still
gonna get
love
mad
4
at
though.
you.
I still love 4 though.
That
That doesn't mean
listen,
I hate it. I love the fuck out of 4. I love that freaking
listen,
game. But
my top 3 favorite games of the franchise are Resident Evil 2 OG, Resident Evil 1 Remake, and Resident Evil 2 Remake. So obviously, you know, I'm like all over the place. And then Code Veronica is like my 6th favorite game of the franchise. So like, again, I'm not defending Village or RE4 or anything like that, but you know, I think the traditional Resident Evil game is like, I think it's a weird phrase to be used, honestly. A lot of people
I should
use
say
it. I get it.
classical. I should say you're classical.
I like that better. I like
Traditional.
classic.
I shouldn't
Resident
use the
Evil.
word. Yeah, it's more classical, is what I mean.
Yeah.
Like your old school feel to it.
It's that there's two extremes to Resident Evil. There's classic
Yeah.
survival horror, and then there's all out action craziness, right? And Village tries to walk this line between them by trying to be both while not being able to do what either side does well.
I agree with that. Yeah, so my pick for the one I want to move on, I'll probably go with Outbreak. I do like Outbreak slightly a little bit better than Village. Especially Outbreak File 1. By the way, Outbreak counts both File 1 and File 2. I just put them together.
Okay, fair.
So I would
Just so we don't have to have this conversation again.
yeah.
Let's hope that Outbreak wins.
Yeah,
Mhm.
for sure. All right, so yeah, I'll go with Outbreak. But Village is probably gonna be the one to win. I would be shocked if Village doesn't win this. Just based
At
on the
least-
community, the way the votes have
Yeah,
been going lately.
It's the more recent game. Village is gonna win.
Yeah, I'll be shocked if Outbreak won. I mean, just looking at the remake versus OG polls that we like for the preliminaries and how like the remakes dominated all the OGs
Yeah.
except for RE3. That right there tells me, okay, so there's going to be a lot of recency bias in these polls. So that's why I think Village is going to be Outbreak. But I do want Outbreak to win. I'm rooting for it.
I do think if Village continues on in the round after this, it's going to be knocked out by something in the next 2. But, or
I
at
don't
least
think
it
so.
should be.
I don't think so. I think it should be, but I
But-
don't think so. But we'll save that for a different podcast. But
Yeah, we'll talk about that later.
I don't think it will be. I think whatever game makes it through here is probably going to make it go for a pretty long run, honestly. I'm not going to lie. Sadly. All right, moving on to the next matchup. So we got Left 4 Dead 2, which took out the Impatient, and Outlast 2, which took out my personal
God.
love and passion, Danganronpa. I will miss you,
That's
Danganronpa.
crazy.
You're underrated. I love you. But yeah, so Left 4 Dead 2 versus Outlast 2. First off, let's go to I don't think we went to Conjure. No, we did go to Conjure first. Let's go to Starlight first this time. And so Starlight, let me know what you think about the previous rounds, the results of the previous 2 rounds that led to this, and then let me know poll choice and your choice on what you think should move on between Left 4 Dead 2 and Outlast 2.
Left 4 Dead 2 should move on because it's one of the best games ever made. Like, period. Just ignoring the horror aspect of the poll. And yes, I know someone in the chat can be, that game's not scary. Yes, it is. If you like have played this game on a hard difficulty, it's some of the scariest shit you've ever played.
You ever ran into a witch? I mean, that's pretty damn scary, in my opinion.
That, yeah, fair. And then for the Danganronpa Outlast 2 one, I'm not a big fan of walking sim games. There's a few that I like. I like went back and actually looked at some of them since being so like grumpy about it last stream, and there are a couple that I like, but Outlast 2 is not one of them. So I would have gone for Danganronpa despite the fact that I hadn't played it because it looked awesome.
Yeah.
So I'm sad that one didn't make it. But for the new poll, Left 4 Dead, easy.
Gotcha. What about you, Mayo? What are you thinking here?
I don't really have any comment on this one. I'll just leave it to you guys.
All right, nothing on the current matchup either. Left 4 Dead 2 versus Outlast 2.
No, not really. Flip a coin.
All right,
Yeah, this and the next matchup, you can kind of skip over me.
cool. I got you. Conjure, what are you thinking, man? Results.
I haven't
previous rounds.
played the Impatient or Danganronpa, but I do pick Left 4 Dead 2 over Outlast 2. Outlast 2 was a great game though. But it's going against Left 4 Dead 2, man. I can keep playing that game. I'm currently still playing it with a friend, and we're doing like Resident Evil mods with
For Left 4
Left 4
Dead
Dead 2. So it's super cool, yeah.
I've been wanting to do that. You and I have talked about doing that, and we just haven't gotten
Yeah,
around
they
to it.
actually have a whole designed map of the Spencer Mansion. You do the exact same puzzles from literally the RE1 remake, Spencer Mansion.
That's
So like the
awesome.
Crimson Head halls, the clock puzzles, everything's there.
That's so
Literally. It's super cool.
Hey, we got 4 right here, guys. Let's just get a team together.
True.
We're just gonna jump into it. Let's go.
I'd be done.
All right. So you said Left 4 Dead 2?
Yeah, Left 4 Dead 2.
Okay. Yeah, so going back over to the results. Impatient, don't really care about. I want a Left 4 Dead 2 to dominate that. It did, 95 to 5%. So Danganronpa versus Outlast 2. Well, it was a domination, but not the way I wanted it to go. My game got dominated.
Dad.
I'm a huge Danganronpa fan. I will defend that tooth and nail. I love Danganronpa. Whoever hasn't played Danganronpa yet, by the way, if you're into visual novels, horror games, and like a game with a lot of twists, Danganronpa, you have to play it. So it's heartbreaking. I would have gone Danganronpa over Outlast 2. Alas, it's Outlast 2. Outlast 2, I guess, is the scarier game, so fine, whatever. I guess people prefer scary over good quality, just saying. So next up, you have Left 4 Dead 2 versus Outlast 2. This one's tough. I mean, if you're looking at like the whole vibe of Outlast 2, kind of it is the scarier game, but still, Left 4 Dead 2 is just, it's a masterpiece. Like, how can you bet against Left 4 Dead 2? And I feel bad saying this because, you know, I'm sure we're gonna get a zombie round 3 filled with like zombies in every single matchup, but yeah, no, I gotta go Left 4 Dead 2. It's a masterpiece. I love it, and I still keep trying to play it all these years later. I can't get enough of my community to do it with me, but I love this game. So Left 4 Dead 2. We're gonna skip Mayo for this next one, right? Mayo, you don't have anything to comment on this next one?
Like 0-0.
Okay,
I
cool.
honestly don't either. I haven't played either of these games for the next one.
All right. So what about you, Conjure? Have you played any of these?
I haven't played Madison.
Okay.
I did play Telltale Walking Dead, but I'm gonna refrain because
Okay. So I'll just say something real quick about this one. So Walking Dead Telltale versus Rule of Rose. Rule of Rose is the game I think should have won. Telltale is an incredible story, magnificent story. But Rule of Rose is that classic survival horror game that I love to play. I love my classic survival horror games like old school Resident Evil, old school Silent Hill. That's my jam. So I would have loved to see Rule of Rose here. Fortunately, did not stand a chance against the Telltale series. Again, zombie outbreak all over the place is going to dominate this tournament, I guess. And then Madison against Hellblade. That's why I wanted to win. I know if Podcast was here, he'll be pretty pissed and upset about Hellblade getting eliminated. I'm not. I don't like Hellblade. Yeah. Madison versus Walking Dead. I like scary, so I'll go Madison. Madison's pretty terrifying. I put it just like a tier under like Visage, if you guys ever played that. And like the PT and stuff. So especially on VR. So I'll go Madison, but I would not be surprised if Walking Dead Telltale wins it though. Again, zombie outbreak taking over. Moving on. Next matchup. So this one, I'm sure you guys know one of these games, I hope. So we're looking at Resident Evil 2 Remake, which annihilated. I think this might be the biggest difference in the entire tournament. 98% to 2%.
Oh,
Poor,
no.
2%'s crazy.
Poor Kadeko. I mean, honestly, Kadeko is like a really like unknown horror game on the PlayStation 2 or 1. I know it might be 1. I think it's 1 actually. But yeah, so Resident Evil 2 remake, recency bias aside, it still would have dominated this like matchup. Doesn't matter. And then Prey, Vampire the Masquerade. You have Prey beating the Masquerade, which I thought Masquerade was actually pretty popular. Like Vampire the Masquerade, the Bloodlines, the first one, I thought was pretty popular. I guess not, but I love Prey, so I'm happy to see Prey make it to the next round. I'll say my answer for this one before we move over to you guys, since I've already been talking. Might as well get it out of the way. Resident Evil 2 remake, obviously. I'm not even gonna waste much time on that. I love Prey. I wish it was going up against something else, but RE2 remake, come on, let's go. What do you got, Mayu?
Prey is a game that slipped by me when it came out. I was interested in playing it. I wanted to. And it just came out in a time in my life where I just didn't play it. And it's one of those games that I want to get to eventually because it looks so damn cool and so many people love it. So I have to give it to RE2 Remake. But even if I had played Prey, not many games beat RE2 Remake for me in general, horror or not. It's a top 5 Resident Evil game for me. I like it more than the original because of its gameplay. So I want RE2 to win, and I expect RE2 to win because it's just it's huge. It's the best selling of all the modern Resident Evil games, like by like 5 million.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a landmark title in the entire series. So I would be surprised if it didn't make it to the top 4 of this entire tournament.
I would agree if it wasn't for something that would happen in the near future. Okay. So I have to win Mayo. Let's go Conjure this time.
I think I'm gonna refrain only because I started Prey but never finished it, so I don't think it's fair for me to vote RE2. Although I'll probably
Conjure, come on.
RE2 anyway, but I don't think it's fair for me to vote since I never played the game.
You're
fully.
a Resident Evil content creator.
I know, but I can't be biased. I mean, I can't be like biased just because of the name. I gotta be fair.
There's nothing wrong with being biased. How many people you think are voting in this
to be
poll that
fair.
are biased as hell?
It is when Signalis doesn't get put through.
All right, and what do you got, Starlight? Oh, sorry, go ahead, Conjure. What were you saying?
Oh no. Like I said, probably most likely will pick RE2, but I haven't finished Prey, so I can't really.
Gotcha. Fair. And the Starlight. What do you got?
RE2. I mean, it's RE2 remake. It's incredible. I don't have much more to say than that.
Fair.
Prey is good, but it's not Resident Evil 2 remake.
Yeah. So I meant to bring this up at the start of the show because during the polls during the tournament, I had people constantly commenting saying, so annoying that this game is winning, so annoying that this game's winning. Keep in mind, you guys are the ones voting on this poll. Just throwing that out there. But people were also saying, oh, people don't know what they want, so like we should decide what goes on. Maybe when this is all said and done, we'll do a rapid fire with a bunch of content creators. We'll get as many creators together as possible, and then we'll all vote on which ones we think would win each matchup. That might be fun, something that we can do for fun in the future after the tournament's over. That way you guys can see what like us like content creators, like what we would see, what we would say like move forward, and we'll vote and see how the tournament plays out that way. Maybe. I don't know for sure. Just a thought process.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, it really just depends on time. I would want to get a shit ton of creators involved with though, because I want to get like as many votes as possible. We'll have to do rapid fire though, because there's 128 games. So talking, you vote and you shut up pretty much. Moving on to the next matchup. I scrolled up too high. Silent Hill 3 took out D2 96% to 4%. Not surprising. Little Nightmares 2 took out Shadow Hearts, which is actually the successor of Kadeka. 86% to 14%. So we have two of the better sequels out there of all time. Silent Hill 3 versus Little Nightmares 2. This one's easy for me, but let's go to Conjured first this time.
I haven't played Little Nightmares 2, but I freaking love Silent Hill 3. It's literally my favorite Silent Hill game in the series. I shouldn't vote, but I am anyway because I love Silent Hill 3, so I'm picking Silent Hill 3.
You
Just cause.
fucking hypocrite.
Yeah, I know. I love
You're
Silent
a
Hill 3.
hypocrite.
I love Silent Hill 3. Give me that shit.
Which one do you think's winning the poll?
I think Silent Hill 3. I think that's winning.
All right. Let's go to Starlight first or next this time.
I haven't played Little Nightmares 2, but Silent Hill 3 is awesome, so I guess I have to pick that by default. And as for both of the previous matchups, I'm not surprised either of these won. I kind of expected that.
Yeah. I mean, D2 Shadow Hearts, they were kind of fighting an uphill battle there, so they didn't stand a chance. Mayo, what do you got here?
Pretty much echoing the sentiment. I'm not surprised either of these two are here. But I did not play Little Nightmares 2. So, I mean, I'm picking Silent Hill 3 by default, and I expect it to win on name recognition alone, but also because it's just one of the entries in one of the greatest trilogies of horror video games ever. So,
Yeah. I'm with you.
it was my favorite. It was my favorite Silent Hill for maybe I don't know, 10 years.
Oh, it was for 10 years. It was your favorite.
Yeah, I bounce around as to which one I consider my favorite, but
So I'm guessing OG
it was my
2's your favorite
for a
now?
while. OG 1 is
Oh, wow.
has been the game that I've had a lot of love for in the recent years.
Okay, cool. Good to know. So for me, again, I'm not gonna waste too much time on this. Silent Hill 3 is just like one of those like top 10 best horror games of all time, maybe even top 5 potentially. So you can't really argue against Silent Hill 3. Oh, did I say Silent Hill 2? Maybe I
No,
did.
you said 3.
Oh, I did say okay.
You said 3. You're good.
All right, yeah. So Silent Hill 3 definitely knocks Little Nightmares 2 out of this. Like, it's probably gonna be like I'm gonna say like an 89 to 11%. Like, I think it's gonna be beat down. No offense to Little Nightmare 2 fans, but Silent Hill 3 is just one of those amazing games. I am looking forward. I mean, I know Resident Evil dominates my community, but Resident Evil 2 remake versus Silent Hill 3 is gonna be a really good matchup next round. So.
Oh wow.
That's gonna be a good one. All right. So we'll move on to another Resident Evil matchup. The second Resident Evil matchup of the tournament. This one's gonna be the 2002 remake of Resident Evil versus, I think that's Revelations 2. Yeah, Resident Evil Revelations 2. Have to make sure because like they got cut off right there, and now it's like they say the same shit. Yeah, so that's Revelations 2. So Resident Evil 2002 remake versus Revelations 2. Resident Evil 2002 remake is like my second favorite video game of all time, third favorite video game of all time. Somewhere it's in my top 3 favorite video games. So I mean, I'm not even gonna talk much here. Remake is, I hope to God, remake crushes the hell out of Revelations 2. I'm not a fan of Revelations 2 at all. I'll be honest, guys. Never really liked it
Honestly,
that much.
that's fair.
I think I prefer RE6 over Revelations 2. And that's a lot coming from someone who really heavily dislikes RE6. So yeah, I gotta go 2002 remake of Resident Evil for sure. Let's go Mayo first this time. I know you haven't played a lot of spin-offs, right?
Yeah, again, like I don't know Revelations, but it wouldn't matter. It would not matter if I had 500 hours in it. The RE1 remake is, I mean, it is arguably the best survival horror game ever made. But so I mean, it's just I'm just gonna vote for it all the way to the end, basically.
Nice.
If it ends up going against Silent Hill 3, like sorry, Silent Hill 3.
It's going round 4. It's got to go up against either Silent Hill 3 or Resident Evil 2 remake. So it's gonna have an uphill battle for sure coming up.
It's gonna go all the way.
It is not my personal favorite. It's my number 2. RE3 is my personal favorite Resident Evil game.
Yeah.
But if I had to pick like my favorite survival horror game overall, I would say it's the RE1 remake.
Yeah. I think the 2002 remake. So my favorite games, it goes Kingdom Hearts 2, surprisingly, is my favorite game of all time. RE2 OG, and then it goes Resident Evil 2002 remake. So that's my top 3 games of all time. That being said, I do think the Resident Evil 2002 is like the best survival horror game ever created. So it's a better survival horror game than Resident Evil 2 was, OG, in my opinion. But yeah, I think the 2002 remake of Resident Evil should be what every survival horror game strives to be, in my opinion. If you want to make a good survival horror game, you should look at the 2002 remake of Resident Evil. Just saying.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Cool.
Yeah, no, Kenneth in chat says is my favorite RE3 remake. No, RE3.
Oh,
not
okay.
RE3.
No, what are you kidding me?
RE3
Nah, Mayo loves
Nemesis.
RE3 remake. RE3 remake's
Oh,
his
yeah.
favorite game of all time.
Yeah, go watch my video on RE3 remake. It's glowing.
Yeah, Village is actually
It's glowing with yellow paint all over it.
He likes Village better than that.
No, I prefer RE3 remake over Village any day.
I do too, actually. Which I know a lot of people were happy about that when I did my franchise rankings, but it is what it is. All right.
There's always those RE3 remake people that'll come out of the woodwork to scream in a cloud and then
Yeah,
go
man, you
hide
can't
again.
make those people. You can't make happy. I'm telling you right now. You can hate on RE3 remake, and then you have the defenders like just come and fucking tear you apart, and then you can like applaud like RE3 remake, and then you have the people that shit on the game come and tear you apart. There's no winning with that community. Like
No,
there is no
Yeah.
winning when it comes to that. When it comes
You
to
could
that
even
game.
complain about RE3 remake, and then the people who hate it will be like, "You didn't complain enough about this."
Yeah, he didn't hate it enough.
Like,
I get that all
you
the
dare
piece of
you.
shit. Oh my god.
It's
I
so
love-
funny.
I love the Resident Evil community. It supports, my life, but it's a very interesting community for sure. So Conjured and Starlight, what do you guys have to say about Revelations? Oh, wait, hold on. We didn't whatever. I think Parasite Eve 2 should be here instead of Revelations 2, and I'll just say that and move on. But all right, so
Yeah.
Conjured and Starlight, what do you guys think about this matchup and the previous results?
Nothing that wasn't said already, honestly. I love Iron Lung, but it can't it can't compete. And then Parasite Eve 2, I also think should have gone through because I'm not a big fan of either Revelations games, really. I think they're both kind of overrated. But yeah, it's Resident Evil 1 remake against one of the side games. It's gonna be Resident Evil 1 remake.
Right. Conjured?
So I did enjoy Revelations 2, but it's going against literally like one of the grandfathers of freaking survival horror, and that's RE1 remake. Just it's simple, it's elegant, and it's the blueprint of survival horror. So yeah, it's gonna be RE1 remake. And as for Iron Lung and Parasite Eve, I think Parasite Eve should have definitely beaten Rev 2.
Yeah. 100%.
And
Mhm.
yeah, I agree on Resident Evil. Over Iron Lung, obviously, but yeah, Parasite Eve should have definitely been on here, 100%.
Yeah, 4 words are drilled into my head every time I think of Revelations 2. The monsters are coming. I just keep replaying that phrase over in my head nonstop.
No.
I hate that game with a passion. All right, we'll move on to the next matchup. So we have this is a weird one, honestly. So we have Slender the Arrival, which took out Devotion. I think Devotion should be here. No offense, Slender fans. And Death Stranding took out Penumbra Overture. So it's Slender versus Death Stranding. For me, I'm gonna say the same thing I said last time. I think Death Stranding is a shitty game. I don't like the game at all. It's a piece of shit. Sorry, Starlight. I know you like it. So I'm gonna go with Slender the Arrival because I would love to see Death Stranding get the hell out of here. I don't want it to be in this tournament anymore. But I do think the poll is gonna lead towards Death Stranding. So that's all I have to say. We'll go to Starlight next for that reason, since I decided to attack them.
Chat. I'm talking to chat right here. If you guys let Death Stranding lose to Slender, I'm gonna have the crash out of the century. I'm not even kidding you. Like, when it's up against Resident Evil Remake, okay, understandable. But if it loses to Slender, I'm out of here. I'm
It
done.
was like $2, bro.
Chat, I also want to talk to you real quick. Remember whose fucking chat you're in right now, and you better go and vote for Slender the Arrival when this matchup happens. Swear to
Ignore this guy.
God, get Death Stranding out of here.
That game was $2.
Well, this is the console one, Conjured. It's not the mobile one.
Yeah.
I think the console one was probably as
The
cheap,
console
though.
one's like, yeah, nowadays it's probably that cheap. But like, you guys know my opinion on this. I'm not going to harp on it forever.
Yeah. You apparently hate walking horror simulators, but then you also like horror walking simulators, is what I got from you, Starlight. Because Death Stranding is
these
the
are not the same
epitome.
type thing.
It is
You
literally.
know that.
How many people have compared Death Stranding to a walking simulator? I mean, I feel like that is the top tier of walking simulator.
People who didn't play the game for more than like 20 minutes. And yeah, okay, it is a walking simulator. I will, fine. But there's a difference in walking simulator between holding W for 6 hours and having to plan your route, sort your cargo, bring equipment depending on the terrain, analyzing the terrain, balancing which orders you take to where, what order you deliver them in. It's got a lot of different mechanics and systems and planning that make the walking engaging.
You're
if
putting
you
me
like
to
that
sleep
sort of
right
thing.
now, Starlight. I'll be completely honest. Like,
Okay.
I love you. You know I'm just messing with you though. Oh my god. So you're going Death Stranding over Slender?
Yes.
All right. What do you got, Conjured?
I'm going for Death. I actually like Death Stranding.
God,
I do like that.
Am I going to be in the minority here?
I honestly
I
like
hope
that.
so.
It wasn't. It's not for everyone. I understand that. Like, it's literally not for everyone because all you
Yeah.
do is walk and deliver shit. I get that. But that game just has like aura and like vibe to it. You just have to be in like the mindset to play that game. It's not for everyone. It's, trust me, it's understandable. But it's just the scenery in that game, man. It's freaking amazing. I don't know. It's just a different game.
You know what? I will give it that. I'll throw that out there. I'll concede to both of you guys about this. Death Stranding is visually impressive. I'll give it that. That's something that I do agree with. What do you got, Mayo? Are you here to back me up or?
You know what? I like you, man. I'll go with Death Stranding.
What the hell?
I mean,
horrible.
go with Death Stranding for no, okay. Slender. I pick Slender, but it's not gonna win. It's not gonna win.
Yeah,
I
I
think it
know what's
will.
good. I think
I
Death
think
Stranding's
Slender's
gonna
gonna
win.
win.
Death
That's-
Stranding
think
will
so.
lose to Resident Evil Remake. But
Yeah.
Oh yeah, of course.
Death
so
Stranding's
you-
gonna be Slender.
You don't have to fear for too long.
I will say Slender's not a good game either. I don't like Slender the Rival either. So it's not like I'm rooting for Slender to go far in his tournament, especially since it's probably going to be going against Resident Evil. I'm just not a fan of Death Stranding. I respect anybody that is. I mean, you know, I'm glad you all love it, and it will probably win this matchup for sure. I'll be shocked if it doesn't win this matchup, but yeah, I will be sitting in my little corner, scheming, hoping that Death Stranding gets a beatdown that it deserves.
I can't wait to see the comments on this matchup be Death Stranding's not a horror game, and then go to the RE5 poll and it's like 95% and 5%.
You
Oh
know,
my
100% people
God.
are gonna be like that. I hate. Oh my god, you know what? That's my favorite, least favorite like phrase that people say. This is not a horror game. I'm sorry, man. If you're gonna sit there and tell me Resident Evil 4 is a horror game, then you better consider Last of Us a horror
outta
game. You
here.
better consider like stuff like Death Stranding a horror game. Like those are action horror. I mean, do I agree that they're not scary? Yeah, absolutely. But if you're going to consider action horror as its own genre, then you need to be okay with like if Resident Evil 4 is in that wheelhouse, you have to be okay with all the games that come with it, and that would be The Last of Us. That would be Death Stranding. So I hate that argument. I really do.
Reach.
All right. So it seems
I agree.
50-50 on that one. So we'll move on to the next matchup. Speaking of The Last of Us, we got The Last of Us 2 that took out Cry of Fear. And it was actually a really close matchup. It was a 55% to 45%. So
Serious?
yeah, Cry of
Cry
Fear
Fear got the
actually
golf club.
they tried. I mean they
Over part
Cry-
two?
yeah. So I think recency bias combined with, you know, the fact that the show just started and stuff like that too. You had a lot of things going in The Last of Us to favor. So I will say I'm really surprised how good Cry of Fear did. And my predictions.
Yeah,
I
I
think
mean,
I
how
said
many
Cry of
people have
Fear.
actually played Cry of Fear? I mean,
Like,
we can all
exactly.
talk about how great it is, but it is still, you know, an Unreal and Half-Life mod on Steam
Exactly.
Mhm.
from 13 years ago that is janky and not everyone really knows. Maybe a lot of people have seen videos on it. Maybe they haven't played it
Yeah, exactly. So
or even know what it is.
Yeah.
So I'm not. It's pretty great that it put up the fight that it did.
Oh
I
yeah,
know. I
especially
mean,
against
look,
The Last of Us too.
right, you're looking at it like a triple A game that has recency bias on its side
Yeah.
because of like the show starting and against like an indie horror game, and it's still got 45% of the. That's pretty damn good in my opinion. So, I mean, bravo to Cry of Fear for putting up such a good fight. Um,
True.
but yeah, I mean, I was rooting for Cry of Fear. That game was terrifying, and I was one of those people that had never played it. By the way, I want to throw that out there. I played it earlier this year for the first time, and I was shocked about how good it was.
Terrifying.
So,
Beginning to end.
oh
Terrifying.
yeah, so many jump
Mhm.
scares got me on stream. I was chat was loving it. They were living for it. Yeah. So The Last of Us 2 took out Cry of Fear. Like I said, close matchup. Number 4 seed against the 125 seed, and it was close as hell. And then the next matchup was actually a really interesting matchup. It was Silent Hill Origins versus Fear 2, which was another close
Yeah.
matchup. So these were back-to-back close matchups. And I really thought the Silent Hill name was going to carry Origins through this one. It did not. Fear 2 was able to take down Origins, which I was rooting for Fear 2. Fear 2 is probably one of, like, top 5 like first-person horror games for me. I like Fear 2 a lot. So I am really happy to see it here, and I hope, and I doubt it, but I hope it does somehow take out The Last of Us 2. Again, it's fighting an uphill battle here. But I'm rooting for Fear 2. It's probably going to be The Last of Us 2, but I'm rooting for Fear 2. Who wants to go next on this one?
I'll abstain for this one. I have no strong opinion.
Okay.
I agree. I think Fear 2 should win. Again, I'm not the biggest fan of The Last of Us 2. I can go on a long tangent of why I hate
Yeah.
The Last of Us Part 2 in comparison to the first one. I'm not going to get into that, but
Yeah.
I'm choosing Fear 2, 100%.
All right. And what do you think will win?
Because of name alone and the show, like you said earlier, I think The Last of Us is going to win. I'm hoping Fear 2 is going to win, but I think The Last of Us 2 is going to win because of that reason.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm same boat. Got anything to say, Mayo?
I do. This matchup I think this is by far the most interesting moment in the tournament. Because if you look at the results to a lot of these, it seems like the one with the name recognition tends to just dominate.
Yeah.
And here we are in a case where Last of Us 2, one of the biggest games ever, Game of the Year award, has a series on, only had a 10-point spread over Cry of Fear.
Yeah.
And then you look at the next one, which you have the big name, Silent Hill. There's your name recognition. And Fear 2, which is, I mean, like, you can love Fear 2 all you want. It is far less appreciated than Fear 1. When people talk about Fear, they talk about Fear 1. And so the fact that Fear 2 was able to overtake a Silent Hill game, and that Cry of Fear was able to get as close as it could to Last of Us 2, gives me a lot more confidence in the voting public, really. And that they're not just going with the name they know. There seems to be a lot of actual knowledge going on here, at least for some titles. I find that really reassuring. And that makes me think that if Fear 2 can take Silent Hill, and if Cry of Fear can come that close to beating Last of Us 2, I think Fear 2 could actually beat Last of Us 2 in this match.
That'd be cool.
Ooh.
That'll be probably the biggest blindside of the tournament.
That's my big bet for this round. Is that Fear 2 takes out Last of Us 2.
I like that. I like that. We should have been doing
Yeah,
that
make
each
it
round.
happen.
I like that. Like a big, like bold statement.
Yep.
I like that. All right. And then Starlight, you abstain, right?
Yeah, I don't have a strong enough opinion about either of these games.
Yeah.
I do like what Mayo said, but nah.
Yeah. Start thinking about that. Actually, I like that a lot. I know you kind of already ruined it for yourself, Mayo, but I like that. So start thinking about as we're going through this. Once we get to the end of this tournament, guys, I just want to get a quick opinion from each of you about what do you think is going to be the surprise, like dark horse matchup like a game winning that you think most people don't think it's gonna win. That might surprise people. So start
Like
thinking
pick
about
a
that as we're going
game
through.
that we think is going to go further than people expect.
No, well, in this specific matchup. So, like, in this case, like you were mentioning Fear 2 against The Last of Us 2, you think Fear 2 might win. That would probably be
Yeah.
a big one. So something like that. So
Yeah,
start thinking
that would
about
be
stuff like that.
that would be an upset for sure.
Yeah.
But I
And then
can,
if you wanted to, you can throw your prediction too about like a game that you think will go really far that you don't think most people will realize will go far. That'd be cool. We'll
Okay.
get that at the end too. Cool. All right, so let's move on to the next one. Fatal Frame 2, Crimson Butterfly versus Forbidden Siren, which is, I think technically it's called Siren. No, the second one is called Forbidden Siren 2. The first one's called Siren. It's confusing. Anyways,
Siren,
Forbidden
yeah.
Siren 2. So Fatal Frame 2, Crimson Butterfly, one of my favorite horror games of all time. It went up against the OG Alone in the Dark, the original game. I know Alone in the Dark did a lot for the genre. I appreciate it. I appreciate what it did for Resident Evil. Crimson Butterfly deserved to beat that game, and it deserves to be Forbidden Siren 2. I will say Detention should be here instead of Forbidden Siren 2, but either way, I would have went Fatal Frame 2, regardless of what it was going up against out of those two. So that's my pick. Any opinions from you guys?
well, sorry, what did you pick? I kind of zoned out there.
I went Fatal Frame 2, Crimson Butterfly
Okay. Okay.
over Forbidden Siren 2.
Cool.
And
I'm gonna give it to Fatal Frame 2. I don't know if it'll get farther than that though. But
Yeah.
that's for another podcast discussion.
I don't
But
know.
Fatal Frame 2 is just so good. Like,
Alright.
yeah, it's Fatal Frame 2.
The story is amazing. It's incredible.
Mm-hmm.
I love the story.
Can you play
Uh,
Fatal Frame 2 without playing the first one?
Me?
Can you would you?
Yeah,
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 when
oh
they
yeah,
did.
100%. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. They're I mean, there's
Yeah,
small,
it's like
very
in,
small like references to what happened in the first game, like Easter eggs. Like I don't want to spoil it, but like there's like
Honestly,
a ghost.
most of them.
A ghost might be connected to something that happened in the first game, but it's
Okay.
very very small, and you won't even know it unless you like read a file about it because it's like an Easter egg kind of thing. So it's not very important to the story as a whole. So you can definitely play it on its own, 100%.
Cool.
Most of them are pretty standalone.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah. It's kind of like the Silent Hill series, really, in that regard,
Mhm.
actually, where there's like those small connections to each other, but for the most part, they're like standalone games, except for like Silent Hill 1 and 3, I think, and even then, they're kind of sort of standalone.
Yeah.
Okay. So anybody else has any opinions on this one?
No, I picked Fatal Frame 2. Pretty much same as everyone said.
Cool. All right, Silent Hill battle, the first Silent Hill battle. So we got.
Mhm.
I actually know how this is gonna go too. With a certain someone here in this call. We got Silent Hill 2 remake that took out Countdown
Oh.
Vampires, taking on Silent Hill 4 The Room. So Silent Hill 2 remake, another beatdown. Not surprised. It's Countdown Vampires. No one really knows what that game is. I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure May was kind of pissed that I didn't put Nightmare Creatures on here instead of
Mhm.
Countdown Vampires. Probably should have.
That's okay.
But yeah, Silent Hill 2 remake 97% and Silent Hill 4 The Room 90%. I actually love Bramble, and I wish Bramble beat Silent Hill 4. Not surprised it didn't, but I love Bramble. But yeah, so Silent Hill 2 remake versus Silent Hill 4 The Room. So I actually want to go to Conjure because you're playing Silent Hill 4 The Room as we speak right now, right?
Yeah.
So let's go to you first. What do you think about these two?
So I'm in the process of beating Silent Hill 4 The Room, and let me tell you, a lot of people told me I wasn't gonna like this game, and they're super divisive.
Mhm.
Play the freaking game if you haven't yet. It's all bullshit. I feel like, in my opinion, this game's freaking amazing, especially the room system.
Mhm.
That shit is fucking bonkers. Let me tell you, it's amazing. It competing against Silent Hill 2 remake. Man, I don't know. I know what's gonna win. To be honest, I think it's gonna be Silent Hill 2 remake. I think it's gonna beat The Room. But if I had to pick, maybe this is like recent bias of mine, but I think Silent Hill 4 so
Really?
far over the remake. Yeah.
Damn.
It could be that I'm still
I-
like in this honeymoon phase, and trust me, that can be a possibility, but I'm picking The Room.
Nice. I didn't
That
expect that
game's
from you.
it's blowing my mind, like currently. It's so good.
Okay. Let's go to I'm gonna save you for last, Mayo. We'll get to you in just a second. Let's go to Starlight. What do you have?
Silent Hill 4, no contest.
Wow. Okay.
No contest.
This is not going at all. I thought it was gonna go. So I'll go next because, like I said, I want to say Mayo for last. So I'm gonna go Silent Hill 2 remake. And I know Mayo loves it when I say this, but Silent Hill 2 remake is currently my favorite Silent Hill game right now. Maybe it's like recency bias because I just, I've been playing a lot since it came out in October, and I just can't get enough of it. Silent Hill 3 is probably the closest game to it. I'm between Silent Hill 3 OG and Silent Hill 2 remake, but yeah, I just love the remake of Silent Hill 2. I'm not going to talk too much about it because I know Mayo's going to say some stuff and I'm going to say some stuff. So let's just move on. Silent Hill 2 remake is what I think should win. I think it's going to win because, Silent Hill 2 remake came out last year. Mayo, what do you got, my dude?
I'm not going to start a fight.
Need a bucket for all the blood.
That's what everybody's waiting for. That's what the
like,
people want to see.
I don't want to have to rehash this every time. I mean, just I get it. I get why people like the remake. Like I didn't put it in my worst of the year video, like for a reason, because I don't actually think it's bad. There's just a lot that is off-putting to me, and I think they made a lot of mistakes, and I don't think that it's anywhere near as good as a game as the original. So I'm not the biggest fan of Silent Hill 4, but I do like it. There's a lot I really appreciate about it. It's a very flawed game in my eyes, especially the second half. But I think the originality of Silent Hill 4 wins over the Silent Hill 2 remake. Just on that alone. Silent Hill 4 is Silent Hill 4, And it's not 3, it's not 2, it's not 1. It's Silent Hill 4. It's got its own thing going for it. And that's what I appreciate the most about it. And so I'm going to give it to Silent Hill 4, of course. And I'm 50-50 on which one's going to win, honestly.
Really?
I think Silent Hill 4 has its fans, and it has its passionate lovers, people who get very, very upset if you say the Silent Hill trilogy. Which I do.
Someone in chat already got mad about that. It was so funny.
Yeah, it happens all the time. So I wouldn't be surprised if Silent Hill 2 remake takes it, honestly. But I'm pulling for 4. I'm gonna say it's a coin toss.
Yeah, I get that. I do think Silent Hill 2 remake is
watch it get blown out of the water.
I think it is, honestly. I hate to break it to you. I think Silent Hill 2 is gonna. If I had to guess, I'm gonna say like 85-15 is how bad it's gonna be.
Yeah.
And it's mainly just because of recency bias. It just is.
I also think Silent Hill 2 has sold more copies than Silent Hill 4 did.
I did, yeah.
So I think there's just more people have played Silent Hill 2, so I think that one is gonna win. I think Silent Hill 4 shouldn't, but just the way the math and the way people vote, I think Silent Hill 2 is gonna get it.
Yeah. For me, I think the biggest problem I have with Silent Hill 4, because I actually like Origins better than Silent Hill 4, which I know is sacrilege to say.
What are you doing to me?
I know. And I think the problem with it, and you kind of touched on this a little bit already, Mayo, and I'm not going to say too much because I want to ruin for it, Conjured, but Silent Hill 4, the room gets extremely repetitive for the second half of the game, and you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah. I know.
Yeah, and it gets really bad. Like the first half of the game is great. It's awesome. The second half of the game gets really, really like to the point where I'm just like, I just want to hurry up and get through this. I just want to get done. This is stupid. And
like RE7.
Yeah, well, no, that's not the same thing.
No, it's not. But like the quality dip.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The quality dip. Yeah, I agree. But at least it's different. It's a different vibe. You know what I'm saying? Whereas Silent Hill 4, the room, it's just again, I don't want to touch too much because Conjure's playing it for the first time. So, and he's actually at the halfway point, right, Conjured?
I think so, yeah.
Because you just got to the
I don't know how far I am.
Eileen part. You just met with Eileen in the room.
She, spoiler alert. She
no. Okay, don't comment on that, guys. So yeah, that's where Conjure's at. No comment in the chat, no comment out of us about that, and we'll just drop it there. But yeah, so the rest of the game, you got probably one more section, and then the rest of the game gets really repetitive, and you'll see what we're talking about. So you'll probably, I think you're going to change your mind once you start playing that second half.
We'll see in round 3.
Yep, we'll
Yeah,
see.
sure.
We'll talk. Oh well, no, we won't. I don't think so. Moving on to the next matchup, we got Doom 3, which dominated Obscure. Which I do think Doom 3 is the only horror game, in my opinion, in that franchise. Taking
Right.
on Condemned Criminal Origins, which took out Fatal Frame. Which, you know, I thought Fatal Frame's name would carry it. It didn't. But it was a really, really close race between Condemned Criminal Origins and Fatal Frame. Probably one of the best matchups. Condemned Criminal Origins won with 56% to 44%. I think Criminal Origins is the better game of the two. I'm fine with Criminal Origins beating Fatal Frame. And I am fine with Criminal Origins beating Doom 3. So that's my pick for which game I think should win. The game that's probably going to win, I think the Doom name might carry it, but it should be Criminal Origins. So that's my pick. What do you got, Mayo? Mr. Doom,
Well, I have
Doom man over there?
This is the first time I'm hearing about this Doom. Sounds
It's
cool,
not Doom
though.
Eternal. That's a totally different game.
You know, I built my first PC for Doom 3, and that's how excited I was for it when I was a kid. So I have nostalgia for Doom 3 that I don't have for Condemned Criminal Origins, which I've only played some of. I haven't played the full game, just a bit. But I do like what I played. I can't predict this one at all. This is a weird matchup, honestly.
It's interesting, right?
Yeah, it's a really weird matchup. As big as the Doom name is, and I think enough people like Condemned to give it the edge in this matchup. I might personally go Doom 3 just because I know the game a lot better than I know Condemned, but I'm not the biggest fan of Doom 3, honestly. I think it's a good game, but I have trouble going back to it these days. So I don't really know which one I would pick for myself, but I think Condemned's going to take it.
I hope so. I'm rooting for Condemned. That department store gets me every time. I mean, just the whispering, you know, you're gonna die, like all that shit. Oh god, terrifying. What do you got, Starlight?
I also have nostalgia for Doom 3. It was one of the first games I got on my original Xbox, and I love that game. I do like Condemned Criminal Origins, but much like Mayo, I have a soft spot for Doom 3. I'm going to vote for that one. I do think Condemned Criminal Origins is going to win, though, because Doom 3, especially over time, has kind of developed the other Doom game mentality even more so than like Doom 64 does.
Yeah.
So I don't think Doom 3 is going to win this.
Yeah, I think Doom 3 gets a lot of. I mean, I know it's not as a Doom game. It's probably not a good Doom game, but as a horror fan, I was all about it. So you know, I think it does get a little more hate than it should. What do you got, Conjured?
I think I picked Doom 3. I think the last time I played it was in VR too. I think it was for the PS3. I think it was PS4, one of them.
Nice. How was that?
I also did like it's freaking amazing. I love Doom 3. Condemned, I enjoyed it for sure. I have to play it a lot more. I definitely loved the sequel. The sequel was really good too, in my opinion. But I think Doom 3 is gonna take it out of the two.
Nice. Now you think it is, or you want it to, or both?
I wanted to, and I think it's gonna win. Yeah, both.
Okay. I think we got it to everybody, right? I think so.
I think
And,
so.
Yeah, I went Criminal Origins. It's scarier for me, but Doom 3 is probably gonna be
Fair.
the one to win. All right, moving on. As someone that's not a big Soulsborne person, we got Bloodborne, which is the number 5 seed, taking on which completely murdered Repo, which I'm not surprised. I think some people were surprised,
Yeah.
but yeah, it got beat down, 88 to like 12. And then we got Fatal Frame 3: The Tormented, which is the last Fatal Frame game on here. We already passed the other two. One of them made it to the next round. The other one got eliminated. So I don't have 4 or 5 on here. But Fatal Frame 3: The Tormented took on The Suffering, which honestly, that was a good matchup. I love both of those games, so that was heartbreaking to watch happen.
Yeah, I was curious what you guys thought about that result.
I'll
You
say
know, I don't know.
Bloodborne.
I don't know the Fatal Frame games yet. I want to.
Yeah.
I don't know what people think about Fatal Frame 3, but the Suffering is a pretty loved game, even if it isn't like huge.
Yeah,
Mhm.
so the Suffering is really good. I love the Suffering. But Fatal Frame 3, I go back and forth between that one and the second Fatal Frame game, which one I like more. I do like Fatal Frame 2 Crimson Butterfly better, but the gameplay side of the gameplay side of things of Fatal Frame 3's is a little bit better, unless you're comparing it to the Wii version of Crimson Butterfly. But I also just love, like, there's parts of the story that I really love about Fatal Frame 3. And there's some pretty terrifying parts of Fatal Frame 3. So it's hard. I love the Suffering. I'm happy Fatal Frame 3 won here though. And then
Yeah, I agree.
Bloodborne versus Fatal Frame 3. As someone that sucks really bad at Soulsborne games, and as much as I respect and love Bloodborne, and I do think Bloodborne should win, I am going to go with Fatal Frame 3. I love my survival horror games. I love my Fatal Frame 3. My Fatal Frame series is up there with like Silent Hill and Resident Evil for me. So, yeah, I got to go Fatal Frame 3. But I do totally agree that Bloodborne should be the one that moves on. But I'm still rooting for Fatal Frame 3. And I do think Bloodborne is going to be the one that wins, by the way. Let's go to the Soulsborne player over here. Starlight, what do you got here?
I
Whoa.
thought you were gonna say. I thought it was such an obvious.
I thought you were
bait
going
and
to say
switch.
Mayo. I genuinely
wait,
did not. I
wait,
was
wait.
so shocked.
I forgot Mayo's a Soulsborne person too, but we'll get over there. We'll get to you in a sec, Mayo. I want to hear from Starlight first, because Starlight does this thing where they play. You've been doing this series that you've been doing, where you play like
I
some of
only did it
the
once,
Dark
but
Souls
I might do
games.
a series.
You should. It was cool. Where you were playing like as Ada Wong and Dark Souls. Like you created like a build that was based off of Ada Wong. It was really cool. I liked it. You should do more of it. It's a good way to like build, a unique way to interact with the Resident Evil community while still connecting to a different passion of yours. Yep. So let's go to you first. Then we'll go to Mayo, because I know we should talk to Mayo about that as well. But I want to go to you first, Starlight.
Quick shameless plug. Oblivion Remaster is Chris Redfield. I'm working on that right now.
Nice. It's gonna be awesome.
Oh my goodness. This is hard. I love both of these games about the same. I think Bloodborne is going to win the poll because Bloodborne fans are vampires. So, oh my goodness. I think Fatal Frame is the one I prefer, but I haven't played Bloodborne since I had a PS4, which was, oh my god, like 7 years ago now.
Jesus.
So I think I'm gonna pick Fatal Frame 3.
Okay. All right. I'm shocked by that. Now, Mayo, I gotta hear your opinions on this one. All right. So what are you thinking? I know you haven't played Fatal Frame 3.
I'm about to disappoint all of you guys because I haven't played Bloodborne either. I have no interest in Souls games. Everything I see about Bloodborne makes me uninterested in it. This is not me saying it looks bad. I just know what I don't enjoy. I've seen people stream it and they have fun, and I know people love Bloodborne, and I'm very happy for them. But I know that from the way the camera works, from the way the physics are, I'm not into the setting that much. I'm not interested. I would play it for free. That's about as far as I would go. I expect it to win because I know everyone loves Bloodborne. This is not a survival horror tournament. It's a horror tournament. And if Bloodborne counts as horror, then I expect it to win. Maybe it deserves to win. I don't know. I don't know how good it is. And that's all I have to say.
Yeah, that was one of those games where people were in the comments were like, this is not horror. I mean, it's literally like inspired by Lovecraft and Bram Stoker.
Have y'all seen the spiders in this game?
I mean, yeah. I had that one of my spiders. It was in my video I did.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, it was I did a top 10 creepiest spiders in horror games, and it was I forgot the name of the spider I put in there. I didn't do ROM. I did the spiders in the cathedral or church, whatever that was. What are they called? Why can't I think of the name of them? Whatever those spiders are called. They were pretty
I can't remember, and it's bothering me.
Yeah, I want to say it started with an A. I think it's like Giant Apostle spider.
Rom, the vacuous spider?
Not that one. That was an honorable mention. It was I think it was a Giant Apostle spiders are the ones I'm talking
Ooh,
about.
okay, yeah. Yeah.
Those were creepier in my opinion. Rom was just like it kind of looked like a blob of some sort. It was weird looking. But the giant apostle spiders in the that cathedral when they like come down and drop off of the, oh god, I'm terrified of spiders. So yeah. Anyways, Conjure, what do you guys say about this?
So I'm like mixed between the two because I do love Fatal Frame 3 and Bloodborne. Like I love Bloodborne because of its setting, its Lovecraftian setting. I actually have a tattoo of Cthulhu on my arm, so I freaking adore that setting
Hell yeah.
so freaking much. But if we're talking about favorite, like, you know, the better horror game, I'm gonna say Fatal Frame 3. But if we're talking about just the game, like a packaging as a whole, I'm picking Bloodborne. It's Bloodborne, man. Even though we're not gonna get a remaster, it's been 10 years by now and nothing yet. But you know, I'm picking Bloodborne.
One day,
Supersede.
man.
I think Bloodborne will
gets
win.
leaked every other year, so you know one of them have to be
You
right.
will play
In
30
10
frames and you
freaking
will like
years.
it.
All right. Moving on to the next matchup, we got Clock Tower, which beat Blair Witch. Not too surprising for me. 75-25%. And then a Resident Evil game, shocker, Resident Evil
man.
5, beating the first Forbidden Siren game, Siren. So we have Clock Tower versus Resident Evil 5. I mean, personally, if we're looking at horror game, like specific horror game, I want to go Clock Tower here. RE5 is a lot of fun, but I think the vibes of Clock Towers is spot on with its atmosphere stuff, even though it is a point and click. By the way, we're talking about Now First Sphere, the one, I don't know how to, it's so confusing talking about the Clock Tower series, honestly. Let's
Are
just
you
say
talking
Clock
about
Tower,
the 2D one, or are you
Yes,
talking
the
about
one that
3D
Rewind
one,
was
the
based
3D
on.
one?
the one that
Okay.
Rewind was based on. Make sense?
Okay.
Okay.
Oh,
That's
okay.
one. So that's
Oh,
one
the
we're talking
point and
about.
click.
Yes. So I personally would go Clock Tower here. I think Resident Evil 5 is a lot of fun, but I just like the atmosphere of the first Clock Tower game. But as far as what's gonna win, my community, they love Resident Evil, and the algorithm seems to like pushing my polls towards Resident Evil fans. So I will be shocked if RE5 doesn't win this.
Yeah, that's probably true. I guess I'll chime in here. I'm a big fan of Clock Tower on PlayStation. That was the Clock Tower I played.
The first Sphere. So that's the one you're talking
Yeah,
about.
and so I'm just gonna pretend that that's what we're talking about,
That's fine.
and I'm
We'll
gonna
go with
I'm
that.
gonna pick, I'm gonna pick it over RE5.
All right.
But yeah, I can't see how any Clock Tower game could beat Resident Evil 5, and especially 5, because isn't 5 like the greatest selling Resident Evil of all time or something?
It
It's, like,
was, I think
massive.
It still is.
it is.
Mhm.
Oh well,
Yeah.
okay. So it is across multiple platforms. If you count
Multiple
like cross
platforms.
multiple
Single
platforms, yeah.
selling is RE2 remake, I believe.
Yeah. Single selling is RE2 remake, but across multiple platforms is RE5.
Yeah, I just don't see it happening. So, but you know, I'm rooting for you, Clock Tower, whether you're the one I played or not.
We'll go with yeah. Yeah. So I'm with you. Conjured and Starlight. What do you guys got?
I'm picking RE5. I'm picking RE5 over Clock Tower. I love RE5. It's such a fun freaking game.
Yeah. Remind me, how
it's
much fun
not-
did you
it's
have
not a
against
horror
that
game.
Jill and Wesker fight that we?
Oh, I'll do it
did
again.
together?
I'll do it again. I'll shoot her. No, I'm just kidding. But I had a ton of fun with it. It's not
Yeah.
a traditional classical RE game, but I did have fun with it because of the action side of things. You know, I do love action games as well.
Mhm.
But that resonated to me, and I had fun with RE5. And I also love Clock Tower too. As a survival horror game, I did enjoy that too. But I don't know. I think I had more fun with RE5.
For the record, all of you Jill fans in the chat, Conjured hates Jill so much that he shoots her as much as possible and loves watching her die in Resident Evil 5. Just saying.
Listen, you have a character that's doing massive 360s with double Uzis.
Stop
I
shooting
don't know,
it.
man.
It's not going well. Oh my god, that fight in professional, dude. So Starlight, what do you have? Actually, Starlight, you say what you're gonna say first, but I think I have a prediction for you. But go ahead, say what you're gonna say first.
I'm saying this as someone whose favorite Resident Evil game is Resident Evil 5
Yep, that's
Clock
exactly
Tower should
what I thought you were
win
gonna
this.
say.
because RE5 barely qualifies as action horror to begin with.
How does it
And-
not qualify as action horror?
It's
gotta know
literally
before you
the
move on.
same
It's
as
horror
RE4
for,
in my
like,
opinion.
2 chapters. But RE4 doesn't really qualify for action horror either. Because RE4 is like has like one scary part.
You're-
RE5 has like
You're gonna have to
one
help me out
scary
here
part.
because maybe I'm just stupid and I
BioShock is
don't
more
understand.
action horror than these are.
Okay, so what else would you compare as action horror? What would you say Dead Space is action horror, or would you say that's something
Dead Space is action horror. Because that game is consistently scary throughout up until like maybe the last third of the game. Evil Within is more action horror.
else? So what about The Last of
uh,
Us?
Last of Us is more. Oh my god, I haven't played The Last of Us in literally 10 years. I don't know. I really don't know for The Last of Us. I haven't played it in
think-
so long.
So I my whole thought process, and this is a whole different debate that maybe one day we'll do a big debate with a bunch of creators about this, about action horror versus survival or whatever, what defines action horror or
Mhm.
something. But my thing is that you always, when it comes to like looking at subgenres of horror, you should look at the term that comes first. So you have action horror, you have survival horror. That's why like survival horror games, you see like limited resources, inventory management, because your survival aspect comes first, and then the horror, the vibes as well. For action horror, you're looking at an action-based game that has horror vibes about it too. So that's kind of like the logic like I look at it, which is why I consider RE4, RE5, Last of Us, all those games like action horror. I think Dead Space does qualify as action horror. It's definitely scarier than all those games. But yeah,
With what
that's
you're
my thought
saying,
process.
that's fair. For some reason, when I think action horror, I think of the game has to actually be like actively scary at some point, and RE5 really is just like not.
I feel
Well,
like-
I mean,
Um,
if you go by that train of thought, though, if we look at survival horror, I wouldn't call a lot of the locations in Resident Evil 3 scary.
Scary
I
at
don't
all,
think
yeah.
Resident Evil 3 really scares me beyond the first few Nemesis encounters.
Yeah.
True.
I mean, but it's still a survival horror game. I think these like you can have horror movies that don't scare you one bit, but they are like let
Elevated
the right
horror.
one in. Let the right one in is a story of a young child vampire, right? Like it's a horror story, but it's not that it's something that scares you. Like these genre terms are so flexible that they can encompass so
Yeah.
many experiences, and that we end up defining these things by a general horror theme and their gameplay mechanics. So we say action horror not because it's constantly scaring you, but you are in these dark worlds. You are fighting against scary monsters and zombies, and then the gameplay mechanics incentivize combat, which is the big difference between these two genres. One of them, anyways, is that action horror is incentivizing you to constantly be killing everything because it's giving you back resources, and survival horror doesn't. And so I would still call Resident Evil 5 action horror just because of the mechanics and the enemies you're engaging with, even if it doesn't scare you once.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
no,
that is
you
like
said that
fair.
perfectly. That's
that is
that's
a
how I
longer
feel.
conversation. That is a longer
It is. Like I said,
conversation.
honestly, maybe once this tournament's over, maybe I'll do like continue podcast episodes where we do debates like this. Could be fun. Because there is a lot of different topics like that where people, have different viewpoints on it. So it is really cool to hear from like other creators, like what your viewpoints are on this topic. But honestly, a lot of people agree with what you're saying, actually, Starlight, about RE5 not being a horror game. Because trust me, during the poll, we heard that a lot. We heard that a lot in the comments about how RE5 isn't horror and should be on the list. So trust me, there's a lot of people that agree with you for sure.
I'm not saying it shouldn't be on the list. The point I was trying to make is that the goal of the list, I think Clock Tower meets the goal of the list better than Resident Evil 5 does. That's all I was
I
trying
do
to say.
agree with that. I agree with that. Obviously, I chose Clock
Yeah.
Tower. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, so I was just saying I picked Clock Tower because of that. Not that like RE5 is like arbitrarily like bad or not a real Resident Evil game or something like that, or that it shouldn't be here. I was just saying that's why I picked it despite it being my favorite. Or despite RE5 being my favorite.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah, it'll be cool to do debates like that in the future, though. I love hearing y'all's different opinions about this kind of thing, though.
And yes, this will reflect when I talk about Resident Evil 4 as well.
Word. Alright. Well, we'll get to that because that's remake RE4, and again, we know Mayo's opinion on that. Well, actually, no, Mayo, you actually like RE4 remakes
RE4.
gameplay. Yeah, you actually like.
yeah.
It's actually fun for you. Hold on, never mind. I take that
God,
back.
yeah.
I forgot you actually
top
like.
5 game for me.
Yeah, I don't know why I said that. I take it back. My bad. My mistake. Okay, so moving on. So we got a weird one. Limbo took out Higurashi when they cry. I love Limbo. But I'm a huge defender of the story of Higurashi. But Limbo taking on Phasmophobia. I know Podcast Now was here. He would be extremely upset to see Oxenfree be eliminated, but I'm not surprised. Phasmophobia is just like, it is very, very, it's like meme heavy, honestly. Like, people just love playing the hell out of that game, and it's like all over the, like when that game first came out, it was like a big thing. So I'm not surprised to see Phasmophobia take it out. But next,
You guys continue. I have to hit the bathroom.
all right, cool.
Alrighty.
So Limbo versus Phasmophobia. I honestly don't really have much to say about either of these. I think I'll go Limbo just because there's some really creepy atmospheric stuff in Limbo. And I prefer like single player like experiences, like horror experiences, where Phasmophobia is just really fun. It's a really fun horror game, but it's like a really fun like multiplayer game with like friends and stuff too. So personally I would probably go Limbo, but I'm fine with either one of these winning, honestly. Starlight, you got anything to say?
I was gonna say exactly what you said, almost word for word. So
Nice.
yeah, I'm picking Limbo for exactly the same reason.
Okay,
I
and
think
Conjure.
Phasmo. I think I picked Phasmo. It's a lot of fun with friends. It's definitely boring when you're doing it alone. I mean, you can do it alone, but I don't know why would you do that. But it's definitely super fun to try to like identify demons with your friends and stuff. It's such a fun experience. Limbo, I also enjoy too, though. I did love Limbo, but I
Yeah.
think Phasmo's gonna win.
Okay. So we'll move on to the next one. I do think Phasmo is gonna win too, by the way. I forgot to say that. I want Limbo to win, but I think Phasmo is gonna win.
Oh my
right.
god, this next one, Jesus.
Yeah. All right. So this next
Oh,
one,
no.
another really good matchup, and I'm actually surprised I missed this one because I probably should have made this one the thumbnail instead. I like this matchup a lot. So we have Silent Hill, which we do need Mayo back here to talk about that one in a sec, because I know that's his personal favorite Silent Hill game. So Silent Hill versus Parasite Eve. Two incredible survival horror games. Parasite Eve RPG horror game on the original PlayStation 1. Fantastic horror games. Both of them dominated their matchup, with Silent Hill doing a little bit better, 95 to 5%. Parasite Eve 70 to 30%. This one, I personally love both of these games, and it's really difficult. I don't know if I can go first on this one, guys. Do one of you guys already have an answer on this one? This one's really hard for me. I like both of these games so much, with like major love for both of these games.
It's a tough one for me too. Oh, you can go. I'm sorry.
Oh no, you're good. I'm gonna pick Parasite Eve, just because if we're talking about literally the first game of each, I think Parasite Eve has the better first game.
Mhm.
I think Silent Hill is the better franchise overall, but Parasite Eve 1 just so good. Not
Yeah.
to say Silent Hill 1 is not also so good, but I'm gonna give it to Parasite Eve. I think Silent Hill will win the poll though.
Yeah, I mean, I do think
Because-
that part's not going to be hard. I do think Silent Hill's going to... I mean, the fact that Revelations 2 beat Parasite Eve 2 earlier in
Insane.
round 1, there's... That right there tells me all I need to know, is that there's no way that the Silent Hill name is not going to carry it above Parasite Eve in a landslide. I will be shocked if it comes even close.
Parasite Eve is one of those franchises where you either like it or you don't know about it,
Right. No, I agree with that.
which is one of the reasons it's not doing super hot, I think.
All right. Are you ready, Conjured, or you want me to go first? I think I made my decision.
This is a hard one because I do love both of these games
I
massively.
love both of them too.
But the thing about Parasite Eve, it's very unique at what it does. It's a freaking RPG horror game. Like, I love Final Fantasy and I love Resident Evil, and you mix these two together and it's literally Parasite Eve. And I'm gonna have to pick Parasite Eve for that reason alone, because these are literally two of my favorite franchises: Final Fantasy and Resident Evil. I have to pick it.
Yeah, no, I
Mhm.
I 100% understand it, and I agree with a lot of the points you guys are making. I just can't move away from the original Silent Hill game. I think when I did a
It's
rankings
hard.
on the PS1, like the top 10 best PS1 survival horror games, and I think Silent Hill was my number 2 pick, just under Resident Evil 2 OG. And it's really just because I just really, really like Silent Hill. I don't think it's the best in the trilogy. I actually think it's the worst in the trilogy. I prefer OG Silent Hill 2 and 3 above Silent Hill 1. But even Silent Hill at its like that trilogy at its worst compared to Parasite Eve 1, I still go Silent Hill 1. Like I just the atmosphere, the puzzles. It has everything I want from a survival horror game. Just the atmosphere, the puzzles, the settings, like everything about this game is just like really, really brilliant. And I love Parasite
Mhm.
Eve. I am in the minority in saying that I love Parasite Eve 2 more than the first game, but I do love the first
Interesting.
game still. And but yeah, I still prefer Silent Hill over Parasite Eve. And I do think Silent Hill's gonna win just because of the name alone, regardless.
Oh yeah.
But
Oh yeah.
um but yeah, I prefer Silent Hill over Parasite Eve. It's close though. It's really, really fucking close.
It is.
Is Mayo back?
Yeah, I'm here.
Mm.
Okay,
Oh.
so I know your favorite Silent Hill game is here against Parasite Eve.
Mhm.
What do you got to say about this
you
matchup?
know, it's not right because I didn't play Parasite Eve. So I mean, I just got to go with it by default. Parasite Eve looked, you know, I was always curious about it. It always looked cool, but I never played it. I think, what can I say? Silent Hill, man, it redefined horror for video games. It was revolutionary. It was terrifying, absolutely terrifying. Yeah, it's great, and I think it'll win too.
Yeah, I mean, if Resident Evil put survival horror on the map, like didn't create the genre but put it on the map, then I would argue that Silent Hill put psychological horror on the map.
True.
So that's kind of logic I go with there too.
Monkey see, monkey do. I have to go to the bathroom for the next matchup.
Alright.
I think the winner is the one that obviously will go forward.
Right.
Oh
All
my
right, so next
God.
matchup. So Mayo, I know you have a lot to say on this one because you just beat it for the first time. So Code Veronica.
yeah, okay.
So we got Resident Evil Code Veronica, which is the number 2 seed. Believe it or not, on Metacritic, Code Veronica is the second highest rated horror game of all time.
That's
Unbelievable.
to me after
Yeah, that's
having beaten it.
it's crazy, but yeah, it's the second highest rated horror game of all time. I think technically it's the third because Resident Evil 4 on the GameCube specifically, I think is higher than it for whatever reason. But the other one that's higher than it is BioShock. But yeah, it's still in top 3 regardless. So yeah, Resident Evil Code Veronica, number 2 seed. I think it's like a 96 Metacritic score. Taken on it took on Chilla's Art. Is that the name of the franchise? I think that's the name of the
Yeah.
franchise.
Yeah.
Obviously dominated that. Chilla's Art didn't stand a chance. I feel bad for it. Went up against a Resident Evil game. What are you gonna do? And then The Thing crushed Observer. Thank you so much for the gifted membership, Valley List. Appreciate that. So The Thing took on Observer, took that out. Now I love The Thing. It's a great game. It's another example of an action horror game in my opinion. But I mean, Code Veronica, man, it is top 6 like Resident Evil games for me. It just misses out in the top 5 for me. And I love Code Veronica so much, and I will defend it. And I know Mayo and I might disagree on some points about the game, but
Sure.
I think we both agree on the fact that it is a really good like survival horror aspect like game. Like it has a lot of like survival horror elements to it. So, and that right there just pulls me in. I think the soundtrack is one of the best in the franchise. I love the music in this game. Especially the save room theme is my favorite save room theme of the entire franchise. So yeah, I love this game. So I got to go with Code Veronica easily. It's not even close for me, but I do like The Thing. Shout out to The Thing. Do you want to go next, Mayo?
Yeah, sure, I'll take it. Yeah, the Thing was cool. I did a video on it last year. It's not going to win, and I don't pick it to win, but you know it's a cool game. Code Veronica, you guys pushed me to play it after the last meeting we had, and I finally did. And I see what people like about it. I liked it myself. It's definitely not near my top, but I think what it does well, it does very well, which is
I like the map design, and I really like the puzzles, and I like the core story that it's telling. Those are the things that I mainly like about it. Don't really care for the way it looks. Combat I find worse than the originals, uh, and I disagree with you on the music.
I saw that.
found
Yeah, I
most-
saw that in your video. Yeah.
found most of the music to be unmemorable outside of the save room theme, which is always great.
What about the boss fight with Alexia with Chris,
Yeah,
like
well,
in the
that's-
in the mansion?
That's what people didn't hear me say correctly. I'm not talking about combat themes. I said room to room
Oh,
themes.
room
That's
to
what
room,
I said
okay.
in the video. And that room to room,
That's fair.
they just don't really have. I mean, close your eyes and think of the RPD main hall.
Yeah.
You
no.
hear the music in your mind, right? Like, think about the basement in Resident Evil 1. Ding 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 ding. Ding. Like you
Nice.
just hear those themes, and Veronica was lacking in that in my experience. But yes, the combat themes, the boss themes, there's some really good music going on there. But that's not what I said. So yeah, it was a good game. I'm glad I played it. I don't think I would replay it, honestly.
Oh, really?
But yeah, I don't think I would. I don't think I would. I'm glad I did play it, but the boss fights, the like I said, I don't really like the way that the guns feel. Like I showed in my video that the heads don't even explode when you do headshots
Yeah, I
anymore.
saw that. I mean,
Um,
I never noticed that when I
yeah,
was
the
playing
lack
it,
of-
replaying it.
The lack
so.
of gore.
Well, didn't you
yeah,
replay it with a knife? How would you notice that?
I did replay. I beat it with the knife only. Took me a long fucking time, but I did do it. Yeah. But the knife is OP as hell in that game. The knife is that thing does
That's what
like
I
a quadruple like fucking swipe like with each attack. Like I feel like I feel like I don't know, like Rocky, but like instead of boxing gloves, like with a combat knife. I was just like messing people up with it. I loved it.
Player became Leon.
Oh yeah. And until I got to the, boss fights and I started using the knife only on that, and that's when things got brutal real quick.
problem. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, and like I said in the video, Code Veronica is when the story jumps the shark, and that's just something I wish hadn't happened. So that makes it lose points for me there. But yeah, it was a good game. I'm glad I played it. It was pretty well made. And yeah, it'll probably win this, and I vote for it to win myself.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah, I pretty much already said everything I had to say about Code Veronica, so we'll disagree on some points. I actually, thinking back about what you just said about the room themes, I can't think of a single room theme that sound. Maybe the main lobby of, I don't know what that building's called, with the double doors and you walk in. It's where you meet Alfred for the first time later on.
Yeah, that little like mini castle
That
area.
that music has something. I also like the music of when you're inside of. Well, no, the castle's something different, but that too I was about to say is like inside that castle. When you go to the Alfred residence, or not the Ashford residence.
It's
That
got its moments.
there's some room themes I like, but yeah, you're right. In terms of the actual specific room themes, you're right. I can't really think of that many like iconic room themes in that game, but everything else about the soundtrack, like the opening, the boss fights, the save room theme, all that. Oh, the save room themes are really good. You don't like the save room theme?
No, I said everything outside of the save room.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So
Save room,
I agree
save
with
room is
you.
really good, but the save room is always good. Every single Resident Evil save room has
They
great
never
music.
miss with those.
Never
Sure.
miss with it.
I didn't like Village that much. It had like, I don't know. I wasn't a fan of Village's theme.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
What else do you not like about Village?
We'll move on that. I think who else? A Conjure, did we get to you yet?
So I didn't play the remastered thing, but I did play the original a while back, and it's a good game. I enjoyed it a lot. And as for Code Veronica, it's a really, really good RE game. It does suffer from a lot of issues, like a lot of beginner traps for a lot of first runners.
Yeah.
The amount of times I actually soft locked myself playing this freaking game over and over again throughout the many sections in the game throughout. But I still enjoyed it overall, and I still pick Code Veronica. It does have my favorite save theme of all time when it comes to the franchise itself, but I'm still gonna pick Code V.
Thanks. Cool. And then did I already get to you, Starlight? I think it did.
I quickly said something before I went to the bathroom.
Oh,
I don't
that's
have
right.
anything to add for this that hasn't been said already, besides that I think this game should have a Silent Hill style map.
Oh,
Oh, that was in
that
the
was
video.
my video.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's where I heard it from. Okay.
Yeah.
I was literally about to be like, I don't remember where I heard that, but it was such a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
Mayo
It's too,
mentioned that
too
in
big
his
to
video.
not have it.
Yeah. No,
big
I,
to not
I,
have
I
it.
agree with that. Yeah.
The game would literally go up like three points.
Yeah.
If it just had that one change.
Nice.
I mean, they even started doing it with item boxes.
Mhm.
Because there are item boxes in Code Veronica that are not in save rooms, and they appear on the map. So they started doing that. They started adding the item boxes to the map. So like, why not? Give me a little note.
Was
for that.
there?
Oh yeah, I double checked that when I was making the video.
I know the only one I can think of, but it's right next to the save room, was the one outside of where you go make the eagle medallion to the whatever medallion. That door connects to the ink ribbon in that room, but it's not like an actual save room, I guess. Yeah. And then I'm trying to think of like other ones.
Like before you fight the stretchy guy.
Stretchy
No, that's
guy.
a real save room.
No, that's a real save room. No, the only one I can think of is the one I just mentioned. I think every other one, the typewriter and the inventory box, are in the same room. I think.
You know what has been my favorite thing to fight with people in the comments about is my comments on Wesker teleporting. And I get these people that are like, he is not teleporting. He's just running really, really fast. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, I guess it's not
I mean,
magic.
they're not
They're
wrong,
RE5 build.
but
They're RE5 build.
Yeah.
He teleports in this game, and in RE4 remake he teleports. In
Right.
RE5 is the only game where it's actually like super speed. Every other game where he has powers, it's teleporting.
I thought it's just running really fast, which is still the same thing though, in my opinion.
Yeah,
Still,
they're like,
yeah.
it's not
Doesn't matter
magic.
what it is.
He's just running as fast as the Flash.
It
So it's-
doesn't matter.
It's still science.
Teleport or running fast, it's still the same thing. I'm not gonna like argue with those people about it, but you know,
God, where
so
do these
funny.
people come from?
man, you just gotta. I mean, when we're a part of this community, you know, people are gonna disagree with everything we say. It doesn't matter if we go with the majority; we'll still have people disagree with us about something. You can never appease everybody. All right, moving on to the next matchup. We got Soma, which took out Cold Fear, and then we got Bendy the Ink and the Ink Machine, which took out Fear Effect. I mean,
I should have gone to the bathroom on
Soma.
this matchup.
Yeah, Soma is a huge psychological horror game. I know our friend here doesn't like horror walking simulators. If there was one horror walking simulator that they should like, Soma is one of them. I think Soma's great.
Yeah, I was gonna vote for Soma.
So yeah, I'm gonna go with Soma. Easily. This isn't even a competition for me.
Buddy, can you scroll the bracket down so people can see the game that we're on?
Oh, you like right there, or should I go like put it like that?
Yeah, it was just like because we're in the lower half and you had the top half showing on your stream.
How's it right now?
Wait, oh no, sorry, actually,
Yeah, it looks fine for me.
no, okay, that's because one of my cats stepped on the keyboard.
Oh, okay.
I was
like, wait,
Rewound your stream an hour and a half. I'm like, what the hell's going
Oh,
on?
okay. I was like,
Cat
all right, what's going
sabotage.
on?
Sorry,
Yeah, so
sorry,
Soma,
offline.
we're on match 82 right now. By the way, for anybody that's following along in the chat, match 82. Soma versus Bendy and the Ink Machine. Again, Soma easy for me. I don't even have to talk much about this one. Any comments from any of you peeps?
Not me.
Bendy and the Ink Machine is the fumble of the century. It could have killed FNAF,
Ooh.
but no, Soma's just better.
Word.
No comment here. I haven't played either.
All right, Conjured.
I haven't played either.
Play Soma. I definitely recommend playing that one. It's really good psychological horror game, especially if you like games that kind of like fuck with your mind, good twists, stuff, that kind of stuff. So moving over to Alan Wake 2, 86-14 against Kuon. Kuon never stood a chance. Alan Wake 2 takes that one, and then one of the best matchups of round one was Alice against the Evil Within. It was close.
Let's
and I mean,
go.
it was really close. Evil Within did end up winning with 53% to 47%. There's one other matchup that was really close that well, I mean, there's a couple of them that are really close, but there's one other matchup I was sweating bullets on. We'll talk about that later. But yeah, so Evil Within barely beat Outlast. So now we have Alan Wake 2 versus the Evil Within.
Crazy.
Of these two, I don't. I've been going first. Who wants to go first on this one? Mayo, what do you got? We'll go to you first.
This is a weird one.
Interesting.
I've played a few hours of Evil Within like 10 years ago, and it didn't click with me. It's a game that I want to revisit with a new, fresh perspective. You know.
You gotta.
But I know enough about it to generally know it. Alan Wake 2. If any of you
Show
have seen
me
my
the
review on it,
champion of light.
I am not the biggest fan of Alan Wake 2. I don't hate it, but I don't think it's a very good game. It's a toss-up as to which one could win this. I think they're both very, very strong contenders. I think this could be as close as Outlast versus Evil Within.
Yeah.
But I think Alan Wake 2 is going to take it, and Alan Wake 2 that's going to be my call for dark horse of the tournament.
Nice. Okay. Cool.
Interesting.
We'll talk more about that later because I want to hear why you think that. But yeah, we'll talk more about that at the end. But okay, so you think Alan Wake 2 is gonna be Evil Within?
I do. Yeah. I don't know which one I would pick really, but I'll probably pick Evil Within over that just because Alan Wake 2 is full of so many things I don't like. So.
Okay, cool. All right. So let's go to Starlight next. You got Starlight, Alan Wake 2, or The Evil Within. I do agree with you, by the way, and I'm not gonna say my pick yet, but I do agree that this one might be probably the closest one of this round. It might be as close as Outlast and The Evil Within were. It's gonna be a good one to watch. I'm curious how this one's gonna go down. But what do you got, Starlight?
I actually don't think this is gonna be close. I think Alan Wake
Oh.
2 is gonna win by about like 35-ish% over
Dang.
Evil Within. Because one, recency, two, I think Alan Wake is just the larger franchise. And
They're literally the same amount of entries. They literally are both two
like popularity.
games.
Popularity.
Yeah.
But I think Evil Within is the better game. It's one of my favorite games ever.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So you think Alan Wake 2 is winning, Evil Within is the one that you want to win.
Correct.
All right, Conjured?
I haven't played Alan Wake 2. Haven't played it yet.
Oh, you
I'm planning though,
son of
because
a
everyone
bitch.
is wanting me to play that game, so I'm gonna get to that game eventually. But I did enjoy Evil Within. I
Didn't
just had
you
a
and
lot of
I used to
technical
talk
issues
about
with it.
Alan Wake 2 when it first came out? You, me, and Rapid Crafter were talking a lot when Alan Wake 2 came out, didn't we? And we were talking about when the Lake House DLC came out too, right?
Yeah, I did mention I need to play it still.
Oh, damn.
I think
Hey.
it was you and Rapid that
Yeah, you gotta play it. All right, continue.
yeah, I
Sorry.
definitely need to play it. Evil Within, I just had a lot of technical issues because the last time I played it was like early PS3 days. So I was playing this game at like 20 FPS. I had a rough start playing this game. But in terms of winning, I think Alan Wake 2 is going to win by name alone. To be honest, over Evil Within. So
Okay.
Evil Within's currently is like dormant. That franchise is just done for now. So
Yeah.
People
Yeah.
love Alan Wake 2, man. They love it.
Yeah.
I agree with that. I do think Alan Wake 2 is gonna win. I don't think it's gonna dominate it like you all probably think it is. I think it's gonna be really close. But I do think Alan Wake 2 is gonna win. As for which one I want to win, oh man, I don't know. Like, I love both of these games. I would say I had a little bit more fun playing Alan Wake 2, and I think it's really just because I still, to this day, cannot get that fucking song out of my head. Oh my god, I listen to that song all the time, and then every time I listen to that song, I then want to go back and replay the game a little bit, so then I go and start playing the game again, and then it's like a never-ending vicious circle where you got that catchy song that just makes me want to go back and play the game every time. And yeah, like someone said it earlier in the chat, said like a quote from it, like what was it? I'll show you the Herald of Dark. Oh, there it is. Show me the Champion of Light. As soon as they said that, I'm like, damn, I kind of want to play Alan Wake 2 right now. Like, so I'll probably go
Evil
Alan Wake
Within
2.
also has a really good original song in it. It's called Long Way Down. If you haven't listened to it, it's so good.
I have, but and it's really really good. But something about like Herald of Darkness just literally makes me constantly think like I don't know, like I hear words from that song and then I want to go play it right away, just like that.
That's fair.
It just brings me in immediately. And I know it's a stupid reason to say that's why I'm going with Alan Wake 2. It's not the only reason. It's just a lot of fun. I like the atmosphere of it. Of those like semi-open world horror games, which Evil Within 2 kind of does that too, with the second game of the series kind of does it too. Of those semi-open world horror games, Alan Wake 2 is one of my favorite ones of that like kind of like vibe. So yeah, I'll go Alan Wake 2, and I do think it's gonna be close, but I think the poll is also gonna go with Alan Wake 2. Especially, we'll get to this later on in the poll after seeing what a certain game did to another game that I don't think it should have done this to, and I was kind of pissed about that. But we'll talk about that later. Any other thoughts there, peeps?
Nope.
Cool.
Nah.
All right, next one we have Fear took out Call of Cthulhu. This is that shittier version of it, and not Dark Corners. I like Dark Corners better. But yeah, so Call of Cthulhu. Fear beat that by 15%, and then Signalis was defeated by Layers of Fear, which I think
That's
all of us.
crazy.
Excuse me?
That's
Yeah.
heartbreaking.
Signalis was amazing. What the hell?
Yep. Trust me. So of all the polls that happened in round 1, I think this was one of the only polls where I went in there, comment, I'm like, I am like heartbroken right now to announce this. Like I think I said specifically in that one, I'm like, this one hurts a lot to say.
And you know what? For Layers of Fear, when it comes to this list, I feel like it's the worst walking simulator game.
I don't agree with that, but
I think it is. I did not like Layers of Fear. I did not like it.
Same.
yeah.
It builds you up for nothing to happen the entire time.
Yeah. So one of the things I really liked about Layers of Fear was the the atmospheric feeling of the game. And I think that's something that Bloober Team has always done decent at. So I really, really liked the atmospheric feeling throughout the game, and I was happy with that. But it was nowhere, like it wasn't even in the same tier, like not even in the same, like within the same 3 tiers of Signalis, and there's no reason why Signalis should have been eliminated by Layers
It's
of Fear.
crazy.
This was yeah.
I was going to say Signalis is one of the only survival horror games of modern era that I would literally put in the same tier as the original Silent Hill games.
Mm-hmm.
There's one other one I would put in there, but yeah, I agree. And we'll talk about that other one because I was upset because that other one got eliminated, and we'll talk about that later too. But yeah, I agree to a certain extent with that comment. It's heartbreaking to see this. And that, like I said, this game and one other was the only poll where I came in and I was like, this is heartbreaking, but this game is the winner. And
Yeah.
I could not believe, and it wasn't even close. 64% to 36. Like, Jesus,
Yeah.
come on.
wild
It's
to me.
just
Jesus.
salt
Come
in the
on.
wound that it lost to Layers of Fear of all
Yeah.
games.
Unbelievable.
Like, that's crazy.
I will say this specific poll right here may inspire me to, like, maybe for the next poll, like if I do this again, which I probably am because it's a lot of fun, I do want to do a indie horror game tournament now, because
That'd be cool.
I feel like the more like bigger name, and I know Layers of Fear is technically not, I think that was like indie at its time. I think that's when Bloober Team was smaller at the time. But I just feel like that the bigger name like horror games just automatically just beat the shit out of these indie horror games. They don't stand a chance. So it'd be cool to do like an indie horror game tournament in the future. But yeah, so anyways, Fear against Layers of Fear because Signalis, all those people beat down Signalis, did not give it a chance. So now we're looking at Fear versus Layers of Fear, which is actually kind of ironic to say now that I think about it. I got to go with Fear. I think Fear is easily the one that should win. After seeing what happened to Signalis, I don't know if it's going to, but it should 100% be Layers of Fear. There's no way in hell it loses to Layers of Fear.
Is this even a discussion? Like,
Yeah, I'm
can't we all just say
Yeah.
Fear and move
Yeah.
on?
If Layers
good
of
with
Fear genuinely beats Fear, I've lost faith in humanity.
No,
Yeah.
fuck this, guys. I'm going for it. Layers of Fear is my dark horse pick for the tournament. It's gonna win the. It's gonna go all the fucking
No.
way, guys. took out Signalis. It's gonna take out Fear, and the next is gonna take
If
out Alloy
Layers of
2.
Fear
Woo.
beats Fear, I will give 10 subs next discussion stream.
Oh my god. Layers of Fear. Nah, Fear 100% should win this. I said that about Signalis. But I'm gonna say that again about Fear. Fear should 100% dominate Layers of Fear. All right. Anything else we want to say about that one, other than F in the chat for Signalis, everybody?
F.
So sad.
All right, moving on to Eternal. Oh wait, did everybody comment on that one? Did you have anything to say, Conjure? I don't remember if you said anything.
I already said
Okay,
Fear.
cool. All right, I figured. All right, so next matchup 85. We're getting close to the end now. Eternal Darkness, Sanity's Requiem, number 7 seed, another one of the highest rated horror games of all time. Definitely recommend playing it, by the way. Crush, Poppy's Playtime. And then Singularity, another close matchup against Call of Cthulhu, Dark Corners of the Earth. Singularity won that one. So now we have Eternal Darkness, Sanity's Requiem versus Singularity. Don't cheer right now because I'm going Eternal Darkness. So
All right, that's fine.
now Eternal Darkness is one of the most craziest, probably one of the most impressive like survival horror games of its time, psychological horror games of its time. I 100% think Eternal Darkness should be winning this one. It shouldn't even be close, in my opinion. But
I mean, I love Singularity, but I agree with you.
and
Haven't played either.
Definitely should play Eternal Darkness.
For sure. I never owned a GameCube.
Nice.
So it's definitely on my list.
I played a little bit of Eternal Darkness. I haven't played Singularity, so I'll give it to Eternal Darkness. Not sure which will win because I'm not familiar enough with the fan bases or the games, really.
I will say this one thing before moving on. That Sanity feature in Eternal Darkness, it's extremely impressive. Do they own the rights to that? Like, is that the reason why other games don't really use that as much anymore? Like, is that kind of like
Honestly,
the Nemesis
probably.
program that was in
Oh God.
the Shadows of Mordor?
No, there's a sanity mechanic in the Total Chaos remake.
Right, and there's also Sanity mechanic in like the Amnesia games, but the way it's used in that game is like really, really
Yeah.
unique. Like like I don't know how far you got into Eternal Darkness, but like the game starts playing tricks on you as the player. Like they'll turn
Yeah.
the TV off on you and turn the volume down and shit like that, and have roaches crawling on your screen. It's crazy. But I've never seen I personally never seen a game do something like that again after Eternal Darkness. Could be wrong though. All right, moving on. Next one, Amnesia: The Dark Descent annihilated Callisto Protocol. So much for recency bias. And
Yeah.
ooh, good shit. So the Dark Descent is in the next matchup and is going up against another close matchup of round 1, which shouldn't have been close in my opinion. The Forest versus House of the Dead. It was at 53-47. The Forest actually ended up beating House of the Dead, which I thought House of the Dead was a big name that would have carried it over. I guess I was wrong. So you got the Dark Descent versus the Forest. Not even close for me. Dark Descent's one of the best horror games of all time. It pioneered the genre. I think this game actually came out before PT, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong about that. So yeah, I'm gonna go with the Dark Descent.
I have no strong opinion on this, so I'm gonna abstain.
Abstain here too.
I think Amnesia's gonna win.
Yeah.
Although I do think, well, the Forest actually has a huge following on Steam.
It
But
does.
It's Amnesia, man. It's Amnesia. It's a freaking titan. I think Amnesia's gonna win.
Yeah, I would be shocked. If,
Amnesia's 2010 and PT is 2014.
yeah, so so I feel like the Dark Descent. I mean, technically, Penumbra was probably one of the bigger games that kind of made that genre push, I guess, because that came out even before Amnesia. But yeah. Anyways, moving on, we got the only original game that's not we're not looking at the remake. The only original game that won the preliminaries of the entire tournament, Resident Evil 3 Nemesis. It beat Resident Evil 3 remake.
Wait, none of the other OGs on here?
Huh?
None of the other OGs are on
None
here?
of the other
No.
OGs are
What
on this
the
list. They all the remakes beat all the OGs of every single game except for Resident Evil 3. Or sorry, all the remakes beat the OGs except for Resident Evil 3 Nemesis. It's the only OG that won the preliminaries. Call it recency bias, call it that there's just more of a newer generation of gamers on YouTube nowadays. It is what it is. At least, hey, you know what? We should just be happy that Resident Evil 3 Remake didn't somehow win. Let's just be appreciative of that fact, at least. All right. Anyways, Resident Evil 3. Good.
This
But
speaks
it's not
so
even-
much to the remake that all the other remakes made it, and this is the one that didn't. That says everything. Honestly.
Yep.
Agree, 100%. And I don't just mean, by the way, I don't just mean just Resident Evil. I meant like every single franchise out there that had a remake. I did preliminaries for them, and the remake won every single time except for OG Resident Evil 3. It's the only OG game that won over the remake. So yeah, that's how the preliminaries went. And you know, Resident Evil
boy.
dominated its fucking murdered its
Sweet Home.
predecessor,
Or
like the
Sweet
game
Home.
that inspired it. Sweet Home 97 to 3%. Not so shocking though, let's be real. And then Alien Isolation versus The Evil Within 2 was the thumbnail of last
Ridiculous.
Alien Isolation did take the win. That's the game I think should have won, honestly. So I'm not upset about that. But this matchup,
This
If
is
it wasn't
the
a-
matchup of the tournament so far.
yeah.
this
So
is
I
killing
wanted to
me.
do this as a thumbnail, except for I already had Alien Isolation in the last thumbnail, so I didn't want to do 2 Alien Isolation thumbnails. I
Yeah.
felt like I'd be a little doing favoritism here. But yeah, this is probably the biggest match of round 2. Resident Evil 3 Nemesis versus Alien Isolation.
Wow. I didn't see this. I didn't look at the bracket before this.
Yeah, this is a tough one.
No, it's not.
I know it's not a tough one for you because Resident Evil 3
Yeah.
Nemesis is your favorite Resident Evil game. I know it's not a tough one for you, but I am very passionate about Alien Isolation. Very passionate about that game.
I am too. But we are for very different reasons.
You're I don't know if I would call that passion per se. God. I'll go first and then we'll let Mayo do his little rant again. So yeah, Resident Evil 3 Nemesis. I love this game. It's incredible. It's a masterpiece. I don't know if I can put it above Alien Isolation though. I mean,
I think you can.
you know what? Nah, as someone that's already seen too many Resident Evil games fucking dominating this poll, give me this one. I gotta go Alien Isolation. I'm sorry, Alien Isolation really did a shit ton of incredible things. Most specifically, that AI feature with the Xenomorph. I still think to this day that no like stalker enemy, no enemy AI in a horror game has come close to matching the Xenomorph in Alien Isolation. And I know that's only one factor to point out, but it was such a major part of that game that I'm just like, I was more scared throughout that entire game than I was throughout most of Resident Evil 3 Nemesis. And that's not like, a game doesn't have to be scary for it to be, you know, a horror game on this list, but that just speaks volumes about how incredible of a horror game Alien Isolation was. So I gotta go Alien Isolation. I think I'm gonna be the only one doing that on this call, but yeah, I'm gonna go Alien Isolation. Mayo, have at
you
it.
guys,
buddy.
the other guys go first.
All right. Who wants to go first, Conjured or Better?
I mean, I'm just gonna agree with Mayo, and I don't want to spend extra time because the stream's already long. So
Whatever Mayo's gonna say, I agree with it.
All right, Conjured, what
for
do you
this
got?
matchup, yeah. For this matchup, yeah.
This one hurts. This one hurts for me because I do
Mhm.
love RE3 Remake. I do love Nemesis. You know, Jill is my favorite fucking character in the franchise, and it's my favorite iteration of Jill Valentine in the series.
Did you say
But I'ma
RE3
still go
remake?
for
This is
Alien.
OG RE3,
Yeah.
by the way. RE3.
Yeah, my bad. OG. I meant
Okay.
OG. But I'm gonna still say Alien.
Okay.
I'm gonna go for Alien.
All right.
Yeah, it's
Good
50,
to have a little backup here. Well, no, Mayo hasn't gone yet. He's clearly going Alien.
He's gonna buffer Bloodborne.
I would.
Damn.
You know, guys. Okay. The world. I'm talking to the world right now. This is our opportunity. This is our strongest chance to knock the one game that honestly does not deserve to be on a list of video games.
Oh my god.
We can knock it off the list right now in this moment. And what better way to do it than with Resident Evil 3, right? I mean, come on. This is our moment. I cannot stand Alien Isolation. I don't want to go on a 30-minute rant about it. You can watch my video, you'll know what I think. I think it's a door opening simulator filled with mini games that are appropriate to give to your toddler in the waiting room of a
To
dentist
be-
office.
To be fair,
So is Resident
the
Evil.
OG RE games is Open Door Cutscene Simulator 3000.
Oh,
Right?
okay. Hey,
To
yeah,
be fair,
you know what? Fair, but you know what? At least you don't have to do a QTE mini game every single time you open the
that's
door.
true.
All right. So,
Fair.
and it's not 20 hours either. All right. So I am not impressed by the Aliens AI. I found it to be comical, and I was bored through almost the entire thing. And it's a game that completely breaks the Alien universe by allowing a cocooned woman to just break out of it on her own. Oh, so I guess people just break out of cocoons now.
Yeah,
Too
nobody
bad for all
talks
those-
about that.
Too bad for all
Nobody
those
talks about
people
that.
on LV-426. They should have just broken out of the cocoons. Yeah, the last 8 minutes of the game is just walking, and then you kill the alien with a 5-button QTE sequence. Like, get out of here, man. No, I'm sorry. Vote
Dying
vote
Light final
RE3.
boss.
Vote RE3, and I am gonna say RE3 is gonna take this one.
Oh, it will. I think. it
Oh,
will.
yeah. I mean, I do agree Resident Evil 3 is going to take it. Again, like I said, this is posted on my channel. My entire community is based on Resident Evil. So it would be
Look,
shocked.
My nightmare situation was that the grand finals was going to be Alien Isolations versus Resident Evil Village.
What would you vote in that?
Ooh,
Just out of
much.
curiosity, what would you vote in that matchup? I have to know now.
Well, I mean, at least Resident Evil Village is a video game.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right. So we got 2 for Alien and 2 for RE3. I do think RE3 is going to win. I will be shocked if RE3 doesn't win. Again, because of the community. So,
Yeah,
Well,
it's
you will see.
definitely gonna win.
but yeah, I would love to see Alien Isolation win, so we can talk more about this in round 3. Speaking of which, just give you a heads up in the future. Think I might be combining rounds 4, 5, and 6 into a single stream, or at least maybe 5, 6, and 7. I don't know. 5, 6, and 7. I don't know. Because obviously there's not going to be that many matchups in those rounds. We'll
Right.
talk more about that later. Okay, so where were we at? Resident Evil 3, Alien Isolation. All right, so next matchup, Dino Crisis 2, B, Haunting Ground. Sure. And then Resident Evil Revelations, B, Dying Light. Okay, Dino Crisis 2 versus Resident Evil Revelations. This is the first. Let me check and make sure. First Resident Evil Revelations, yeah. So
This is the
first
first one.
Revelations versus Dino Crisis 2.
I'm sitting this one out.
One of these games are more fun. The other one feels more of the horror like elements. I'll go Dino Crisis
Are we
2.
doing like horror games or just the overall better game?
What
or it doesn't
however
matter?
it's however you want to base off of the however you want to base your votes on. It's your
Gotcha.
vote. Like, and that goes for anybody in chat too. Like, you guys, if you want to vote for, I don't know what, I can't think of something clever to say, but if you wanted to vote for something that is completely just your own bias, is just a game that you personally love, it's your vote. You can do whatever the fuck you want. 90% of the people that are going to vote in the poll anyways are going to be doing that anyways. They're going to be like, oh, hey, I like that game. Click. So, like, how often are you actually going to... So, just base out however you want to base it, if you want to choose it like that. I go based off of, like, what game do I think is the better horror game overall, or what I have, like, the most fun. Like, which one do I find myself replaying more? Dino Crisis 2, even though it's probably way more action in the action horror, genre than most of the games on this list, but I still have a lot of fun with Dino Crisis 2. So I'll go Dino Crisis 2 over Revelations. But that's my pick. Whoever wants to go up next.
I don't have much to say about this. I'm going to pick Dino Crisis 2. I'm not a big fan of either of the Revelations games. So
Here.
Dino Crisis 2 gets it pretty much by default for me.
Yeah, I am sad that Haunted Ground did not make it here, by the way. I wanted that here over Dino Crisis 2. Not surprised, but sad.
Fair.
Conjured, what do you got?
I'm gonna pick Dino Crisis. I do love Revelations 1.
Me too.
But I feel like I have way more fun on Dino Crisis 2 compared to Rev 1's kind of slow to me, to be honest, and I don't like the variety of enemies you get. Every enemy looks pretty samey to me, to be honest, so the creativity isn't really So I'm picking Dino Crisis 2 over Rev 1.
Jesus.
My thing about Revelations is it thinks it's scarier than it is,
It does,
and you
yeah.
can feel it in the game, and it doesn't have anything to fill that gap, so it just feels a little bland.
It feels empty in
Yeah.
an
I
odd
get
way.
So next one, 2 games of 2023, 2 incredible games, incredible horror games of 2023 actually. So you got Resident Evil 4 remake, which for poor Murder House, taking on Amnesia the Bunker, which honestly I think I like Amnesia the Bunker better than The Dark Descent, mainly just because it's more like survival horror-ish, and I love both of these games. Both of these games is like incredible, great survival horror games.
survival horror immersive sim.
Yeah, it's really
which
really good.
Makes it with a stalker, like it's just such a wonderful combination of genres.
Yeah, so it's action horror versus survival horror here. It's tough for me on this one, because you got the game that I probably would play a lot since it came out, which is the remake of Resident Evil 4. I replayed the shit out of that game, and I have a lot of fun. But Amnesia the Bunker is like an incredible horror game as a whole. I can't vote against RE4 remake. I mean, a game that I play so much, it's I would feel like a hypocrite if I voted against it when I'm sitting here replaying it almost like every single other week. So I gotta go RE4 remake. What do you guys got here?
Same for me, but I haven't played Amnesia the Bunker, so I'm picking it by default.
Oh, you should 100%. I, as someone that doesn't like horror walking simulators, this is the first Amnesia game that's not a horror walking simulator.
Yeah, I remember you guys mentioning it last time. I just have a lot of shit that I have to play.
Yeah, I feel that. This might be on Game Pass if you have Game Pass. It used to be. I don't know if it still is.
I
I don't know if
don't
you
know.
have Game Pass.
I'll find out.
Look, if you guys made me play Code Veronica, this is our moment to make you play Amnesia the Bunker.
Facts.
I'll
Yes.
play it when I finish Oblivion.
All right.
Man, that Oblivion's
It's
gonna
so
take
bad.
up like all year, so that's not anytime soon. The Bunker literally will take you like maybe 3 to 4 hours to complete. It's not a long game. So you can definitely set some time aside, unless you're playing on like Shell Shock difficulty, which I did do, and holy shit. But it is a really it's a really fun game. Which, by the way, actually, did you do that? Have you played on the hard the new difficulty, Shell Shock difficulty, Mayo?
Yeah, I have. I've done replays with the modifiers and all kinds of stuff. It's
Nice.
The Bunker is the perfect length of a horror game to make you feel satisfied when it ends and make you say, I want to play that again. It's that perfect length.
Yeah, 'cause it's not that long.
And it's so great to replay and feels so good to start planning your own routes and stuff like that. It's just magical game.
I like the custom settings because they made it to where you have to use the fuel to save. So they added a manual save mechanic, kind of like limited saves.
Yeah, there's the limited save mechanic. That's great. So
Yeah,
good.
I love that. Yeah, I love it, but I gotta go RE4. Speaking of which one are you going, Mayo?
Well, this in my best of the year video that I do every January, in my top 5, RE4 was number 2 and Bunker was number 1. This is my top 2.
Oh my god.
Dang.
Yeah, and then after that was like like Deadlink and Turbo Overkill, the shooters and stuff like that. But these two were fighting for the top spot, and just because like I did it in the video, I gave it to Amnesia over Resident Evil 4. I'm gonna do the same thing here. Gets extra points because it's an original title instead of a remake. I think that gets you a little bit of credit. And the Bunker is probably the only horror game that I can replay 15-20 times and it still scares me.
Yeah.
And so it's what a wonderful combination of genres and mechanics, and I did a whole video on how the bunker is the future of Resident Evil. That Resident Evil titles should take from the bunker and start incorporating immersive sim elements because it makes survival horror so much better. When you're not just looking for the key, but maybe there's another way into that room, that adds so much to the formula. And yeah, it's the bunker. I don't think it's gonna win, but
Yeah, no, I
It's
can
my
start.
pick.
Honestly, I'm predicting RE4 Remakes winning this whole tournament. I would be shocked if it doesn't win this whole
Oh
tournament.
God.
I would not be surprised. But on that note, before moving on, Amnesia the Bunker, I really hope frictional games did this right. I really hope they take what they learned from this game and incorporate this into every Amnesia game going forward, every single game they do going forward, because I think this should be the new direction of the Amnesia games instead of those walking horror simulators. Those are great,
Yeah.
but the bunker is like top tier. Like I love this direction for their for this dev
Yeah.
team going forward.
I need to reach out to Fred, the director, because that's why it changed, because they got a new game director.
Okay.
And that's why he wanted to make something that was more gameplay centric, and I believe he's the head of their next project. I haven't talked to him
Good.
yet.
Nice.
Good.
But I did an interview with him a while ago, but I want to see if maybe I can get a little bit of word on what they're doing next. And before we close this out, it is appropriate that we just talked about Alien Isolation. All the stuff I don't like about Alien Isolation is what I do like about the bunker.
Got it.
Yeah. Okay.
Thanks. Did everybody comment on this one?
I'm picking Amnesia
Okay.
over RE4 Remake. I do love RE4 Remake. It
Yeah.
did deliver some of the things that we didn't know we want in a Resident Evil game. That's one of the things are the parry system. I freaking love the parry system, but
Too.
as a horror game overall, I think the bunker should take it.
Yeah, I totally understand that. Honestly, like I said,
Yeah.
I respect whatever pick anybody goes out of these two. I just it's hard for me to vote against Resident Evil 4 Remake when I replay that game every other week. So
So fun. So
I have
fucking
to.
fun.
It
The balance.
The
the
knife,
balance
man.
changes. Wow.
I just can't stop playing with the knife. Like I don't think I'm ever gonna go back to playing with guns again in that game. I just love playing knife only in
It's
that
so
game.
fun.
It's so much fun. Oh my god. Okay, so did you you already said your answer, right? Starlight, you said you haven't played Bunker.
Yeah, I did. I haven't played Bunker, so I basically abstained.
Cool. Moving on, next one, The Last of Us versus Resident Evil 0. Interesting one. This will be an interesting one because you have extremely recency bias with The Last of Us show going on right now, a huge name against a Resident Evil name. Which one of these are going to go on come on top? Because the Resident Evil name is of a game that is not loved by, I would say, I mean, it's loved, I would say at least it's 50-50 on most of the community. I think that's the best way to go with it. I'm in the favor of, I actually like Resident Evil 0 a lot. The only thing I really don't like about it is the drop mechanic and the boss fights of the game. Outside of that, I like everything else about Resident Evil 0. But yeah, this one's, I'm gonna go Resident Evil 0. I love Resident Evil 0 a lot. I think The Last of Us is actually gonna win this one now, just because of recency bias. It doesn't matter if it's a Resident Evil, it doesn't matter if it's a Resident Evil community. I still think The Last of Us is gonna win it for sure. But I personally like Resident Evil 0 a little bit better. What do you guys got? We'll go to Starlight first.
So, for who I think is going to win, if you asked me a few months ago, I would have said RE0. But when I was practicing for my 24-hour stream, originally I had RE0 in the marathon. But when I was practicing for it, my entire chat, the entire time I was doing the speedrun, was begging me to stop playing it. They were so bored.
Really?
And it was to the point where I did a poll, and it was like 94% voted cut it from the marathon. And I was like, damn, okay. So I think Last of Us is going to get it because I've warmed up to RE0 a little bit, especially the last couple of weeks because I had to replay it for a video, and I had a lot of fun replaying it. But I just, something about that game, and I understand it. When people hate that game, they hate that game.
Oh yeah, I know.
And
Justin,
and then
I see that all the time.
Last of Us is like one of the most popular games ever, So I don't know. I think Last of Us is going to take this, and I think it honestly deserves to take it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm just going to stick with that.
Yeah, for sure. It definitely deserves it. I don't know what it is about RE0. Something about it just has a small, special part in my heart, despite it getting so much hate from the community. But it is what it is. What do you got, Mayo? What are you feeling here?
It's a tough one because I played The Last of Us in 2013 when it came out, and I played RE0 in 2002, 2003 when it came out. I haven't played it since. I remember loving it at the time, and only not liking the psychic mimicking leech guy thing. I didn't like that.
Mhm.
It's a little weird.
And I
The
like
Spencer leeches.
people are telling me, oh, it's science. Like, yeah, right. You can control 100 leeches that can perfectly turn into a human body that walks on its feet within 2 seconds, and they create a suit and tie out of nothing. That's not magic, okay? But I don't like that aspect, and I really don't like that Rebecca is shown to have fought the tyrant before the tyrant is
Yes.
fought in RE1. I think that just messes up the impact of the tyrant.
Yeah.
Oh, this 18-year-old nurse already took him out. It's like, I really don't like that they did that. But there's so much I like about it. Dude, I mean, it's the closest we're ever going to get to an RE2 remake because you go down into the labs, remember? You go down to the labs from RE2 and
I
they're
love that
redone.
part.
And
It's
it's
really
oh,
brief though. We don't
It
get
makes
is
me
brief.
so sad that they redesigned them
Yes.
completely for the remake because they look
Yeah.
so good in that game.
They look so good.
Ugh.
So
yeah.
actually about that, we'll talk about that after the stream because it has nothing to do with this poll. I want to talk
Yeah.
to you guys briefly about that real quick, but and Conjure, I already talked to you about that too, about that lab.
About the
but
lab.
yeah, we'll talk more about it later. We're not gonna do it on the stream because it has nothing to do with the poll. But yeah, I do.
Gotcha.
But I do like that poll or that lab for sure. It was a cool little Easter egg.
I it's been too long, man. I don't remember Zero well enough to say if I would like it now. But I really liked The Last of Us when I played it. I mean, I thought it was fun. I thought it was moving, and I don't like the influence it had on God of War, obviously. But
Action.
I think I'll actually give it to Last of Us over RE0 in this case for my pick and for what I think is going to win.
Cool. And Conjure, did we do you yet, or was it Starlight missing?
It was me. So I do like Resident Evil 0. I do love Rebecca Chambers. I do love Billy Cohen.
She's moving up my
But-
list, honestly, of favorite characters. I love Rebecca so much.
Yeah, she's definitely a favorite. But The Last of Us, people got to remember, The Last of Us was like the entire freaking package. It had a great multiplayer, it had a great story, it had great gameplay. This is probably a freaking take, but I think it has more survival horror elements than Resident Evil 4 does.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So, it's just the entire package, man. This is gonna be my dark horse. I feel like The Last of Us is gonna win it all. If we're
Really?
be honest,
The whole thing.
Yeah.
Mm.
This
You
is gonna
think-
be my dark horse.
That is
whole thing.
a bold take, considering the fact that The Last of Us is probably going to go up against Resident Evil 4 next round. So
Mhm, and I still
if
pick
it
The
beats
Last of
Resident
Us,
Evil
if you want me to
4,
be honest.
if it beats Resident
think-
Evil 4,
yeah.
then yeah, because that's I think that's the biggest obstacle it has is taking on RE4. And
RE1 remake might also give it a run for its money.
I don't think so. I wanted to, but I don't think so. I think so the problem with RE4 is that not only does it have recency bias behind it, but it also has like just it's a remake of one of the most popular like Resident Evil games to begin with. You know, not my favorite, but it's still one of the most popular Resident Evil games to begin with. And then you also have the fact that it's like a really good game on its own. So it's all those things. There's just too much lining up for RE4 remake to win this tournament. I'll be surprised if one of the like if any game could knock it out, Last of Us probably is the one to do it. That or maybe Silent Hill 2 remake. As much as Mayo doesn't want to admit that part, but I do think Silent Hill 2 remake have a chance at beating RE4 remake.
Yeah, I believe it could for sure.
Yeah. But yeah. I would probably say the Last of Us probably has like the best chance, especially on this side of the bracket. So be interesting how round 3 plays out because I'm pretty sure we'll see both of those games against each other next round. Any other comments on this one?
not
That's
for
it for
me.
me.
Cool. Next one's I mean, to me it's really easy. I mean, both of these are incredible games. You got indie top-down horror game. I think it's the genre that kind of falls into top-down survival horror game. Darkwood taking on one of the better remakes in my opinion. I love Dead Space remake. But yeah, I think Dead Space remake is incredible. I know you guys were telling me how you think Dead Space remake took away some of the things that made the first two Dead Space games real good, like difficulty wise. But yeah, I like
It was
Dead
just
Space
the one
remake.
mode.
Yeah,
But yeah.
but yeah,
There's
for
some
me,
changes,
Dead Space
yeah.
remake.
Yeah, I'm
I'll-
picking
I'll-
Dead Space.
yeah.
It's like one of my top 10 games like ever.
Nice. The remake is
Remaker 1 interchangeable.
cool. Nice. Mayo, what do you got?
It's one of those. Yeah, I love the original and 2 and the remake. I think the original has certain things about it that I do prefer, but the gameplay improvements to the remake are phenomenal. I don't like some of the story changes, and I miss the lack of zealot difficulty. I think that's a big X towards it. However, it is just a great product and a great experience.
Yeah.
I respect Darkwood. I've played it. I see why people love it. I think it's beautiful, and I can see how good it is. I'm just not into games that are heavily focused on crafting so much. So
I
I
feel
don't
that.
get into it that much myself, unless it's a crafting game like Factorio or something, where like the whole point is to craft. But so I got to give it to Dead Space. I think it'll win as well. But Darkwood's got a lot of fans. So I wouldn't be too surprised of an upset here, but I still think Dead Space is going to take it.
No way. Not this one. I think Dead Space is too popular.
Yeah.
I'll be shocked though.
I'm just saying, like, this is one of those upsets that if it happens, I could be like, okay, well, they
Makes
got a
sense.
powerful, a big fan base that loves the game. A lot of people love Darkwood, so depends on who turns out.
Okay. Conjured, I think.
I played the OG trilogy of Dead Space. Haven't played the remake yet. It's in my PS5 though, so I still have to play it at some point. Darkwood, I have not played either. But I heard
Should
many
play.
good things about it.
All right. So you're abstaining on this one then?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Next one, moving on to asymmetrical horror game, A Dead by Daylight, taking on Dino Crisis, the first Dino Crisis. Ooh. So Dead by Daylight took out Mouthwashing, which I think is a phenomenal psychological horror game. But I mean, it's Dead by Daylight, one of the most popular horror games, ongoing horror games right now, especially multiplayer horror games right now. And then Dino Crisis took out Corpse Party, which, it totally fair. I just wish Corpse Party was up against something else because I do love Corpse Party a lot. But anyways, Dead by Daylight versus Dino Crisis. For me, you're taking one of my favorite multiplayer horror games and putting it up against one of my top 10 survival horror games. I'd probably go Dino Crisis. I do think Dead by Daylight's going to win just because it's Dead by Daylight, but I love me. I still, to this day, and this is one of the biggest, crimes on the horror gaming community, or, the horror game, industry right now, is that, to this day, there's no other dinosaur horror game that comes even close to what Dino Crisis did. And it's ridiculous. I'm hoping, Haunting Ground does something similar. I'm hoping, what's the other one? Paleophase, I think it's called. Paleo Age. Something like that. I hope that does pretty good. But to this day, I don't think there's any dinosaur horror game that comes even remotely close to Dino Crisis, and it's sad because I think dinosaurs are terrifying, and we should see more horror games and movies. We don't see many horror movies on them. Jurassic Park is not a horror movie. It's at least the later entries aren't. So I don't know. Dinosaurs, just something that's missing a lot in the horror industry as a whole. So Dino Crisis for sure, easily for me. What do you guys
And to
have?
win, you think it's going to win as well?
I think what's gonna win is Dead by Daylight because the Dead by Daylight community is
Okay.
massive and they're extremely passionate. And I'm actually about to go stream Dead by Daylight as soon as I get off call with you guys. So it's funny that I'm saying that right now, but yeah, I do think a Dead by Daylight will win by one Dino Crisis to win.
See, I'm doubtful about this because I'm looking at the results. Dead by Daylight is only 68-32 over Mouthwashing.
That's true. It's true.
So I think Dead by Daylight has a chance to lose to Dino Crisis in this situation. I would pick Dino Crisis as well. I'm not a fan of the genre of Dead by Daylight, and I'm gonna pick Dino Crisis to come out on top in this one actually.
Nice. Cool. So you think it's gonna win too?
Yeah, I think I looking at the numbers that Dead by Daylight was far from a blowout over Mouthwashing.
Yeah. What's Mouthwashing
I
again? Indie game.
Yeah, like I don't know what it is, right? But if you look at Dead Space going 96-4 over Daymare, and Dead by Daylight, which is a gigantic game that's been around for a long time, people love it, and it only won 68-30. I think that means Dino Crisis has a fighting chance here.
Nice. Yeah, that's good logic. I didn't even think of that. It's true. And what do you got? Conjured and Starlight. Which, by the way, if, I know you don't, Mayo, but Conjured, Starlight. If you guys aren't too tired later, you're more than welcome to join me for Dead by Daylight if you want. Be playing it after I get off stream. Gonna go get a drink and stuff and relax for a bit, but jump on later.
Oh, I
But
haven't
anyways-
uploaded in 2 weeks. I gotta edit.
Oh, yeah, gotta get on that. All right, what do you guys have? Dead by Daylight versus Dino Crisis. Who's up first?
I think I'm gonna pick Dead by Daylight. Dead by Daylight is basically like the Super Smash Brothers for horror icons and horror games in general. I do love Dino Crisis, but I think DBD is gonna win. I don't know, especially when you have Resident Evil characters in it too. I think it's gonna take it.
We'll see. Starlight?
I think Dino Crisis is gonna win, but so the reason I think that is because, and I know there's a lot of other Dead by Daylight players that think this. I'm not saying this is everyone, but there's definitely a certain camp of people that play that game that are like, I love this game. It's very fun. It's not that good. And I'm one of
Oh,
those
yeah.
Dead by
Damn.
Daylight
Okay.
players.
Every DVD player's like that.
And I think that's what happened with a lot of the mouthwashing votes is a lot of people were like, I like Dead by Daylight. But I think mouthwashing is just a more quality game.
Yeah.
I think because there were a couple comments like that, and I think that's going to happen here, but more Dino Crisis fans will come out. So I think Dino Crisis is going to pull this.
Or
And-
it'll at least be close. Right?
Yeah, it'll be really close
I
or
can see it being
barely pull it.
close. Because you're gonna see two different types of people coming out in this poll going different ways. Because like Conjure pointed out, Dead by Daylight, you have Resident Evil characters and stuff, so maybe people go that way. But Dino Crisis
Mhm.
is kind of like Resident Evil with dinosaurs. So you know you might have
Yeah.
those classic
Yeah,
like
it can go
Resident
either
Evil
way,
fans
yeah.
going with
Mhm.
Dino
Yeah,
Crisis.
it's an interesting match for sure.
It is.
Oh, yeah, I'm intrigued to see how that one goes. It's not for a while, so just so you guys know, I'll probably be posting maybe one poll a day this time, mainly because I'm going on vacation for like 10 days in May, so I don't want
Makes
to have
sense.
to get on my phone to post too many polls a day again. So
Well,
it
you
might
can-
be
you
a
can
month before
schedule
we could do it. You can schedule polls?
Yeah.
I did not know that. Are you sure?
Very
We'll-
sure.
we'll talk
I
about this
have
later.
A couple
We will
polls
talk about
scheduled
this
right
later,
now. Yeah,
Starlight. I
I
didn't
can
know
tell you
that.
how.
Yeah, we will talk about that then, because that might make my life easier. Because right now I've been like setting alarms to post.
You've been
these
doing them
polls.
manually? Oh, you poor soul.
I have. Yes.
Oh, no.
So that might be that might change things. We'll talk about that later for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. So seems like it's gonna be an interesting matchup. Moving on to got four more. We'll get through these. Most of these are pretty straightforward. It seems. Well. Anyways, next up we got System Shock 2 versus Silent Hill Shattered Memories. Will the Silent Hill name carry Shattered Memories past this System Shock 2 like it did with Remother Tormented Fathers? Because I 100% agree, believe that Remother Tormented Fathers should be here over Shattered Memories. But it's not. And I think a big reason for that is because of the Silent Hill name. So do we think the Silent Hill name is strong enough to be a really great sci-fi horror game like System Shock 2? What do you guys think?
Nah, I don't think
Unfortunately,
so.
I do.
You do? So you think the Silent Hill name's
Mhm.
going to carry past System Shock 2?
Yeah, I'll let Contra go first. He started talking first.
All right. Go ahead, Conrad.
I don't know. I do see the Silent Hill name winning, but it's System Shock at the same time. Like, this can go either way. Just depends on the crowd, to be honest, and who's voting. But
Hmm.
I don't know. I still see System Shock winning. Because it's Shattered Memories. I mean, I don't know.
That's
Again,
what
it
I
can
thought
go
when it
either
went up
way.
against Tormented Fathers, honestly, and here we are. So, okay. Well, Starlight, you were talking next. So what about you? What are you thinking?
The thing about System Shock is it's another one of those like horror brands that you either like it or don't know about it. So whereas Silent Hill just has that instant icon brand recognition, so you got to think about those people that just like scroll past the poll, see the poll, oh Silent Hill, click it and keep scrolling. So I think Silent Hill is going to take this because of stuff like that, but I think System Shock 2 is the better of these two games, like not even close.
Okay. Honestly, I agree. I will mimic just about everything you just said, actually. System Shock 2, in my opinion, is the better game. It's one of the better sci-fi horror games out there. But after seeing what Silent Hill Shattered Memories did to Tormented Fathers, which, by the way, it won 85% to 15%.
Jesus.
A
What?
mediocre, yeah, a
I just
mediocre
looked at
Silent Hill
that.
game. Literally brutally like beat down Remothered Tormented Fathers, which I think is an okay horror game, but it's much better than Shattered Memories, and it got whooped. So if Shattered Memories did that to Remothered Tormented Fathers, I don't have a lot of confidence with it going up against System Shock 2. Or I do, like, I don't have a lot of confidence in System Shock 2 going up against Shattered Memories right now. So I think System Shock 2 is the far better game. I mean, it's the number 6 seed, so it's a really high rated horror game on Metacritic. But again, the Silent Hill name speaks volume, as we saw. So I will be shocked if Shattered Memories doesn't end up winning this one against System Shock 2, even though it shouldn't. But that's my predictions. What about you, Mayo? You have anything to say here?
I'm not so sure because I mean
Really?
we just saw Fear 2 take out Silent Hill Origins.
It's true. You're right.
True. Good
So,
point.
I don't know how these
uh,
polls work anymore, honestly. Like,
Yeah, I don't know.
It's hard to follow
But-
the logic here.
But I think that is something to consider, right? So I mean something in the middle can definitely take out a Silent Hill game over its name recognition. We've seen that. So I'm not going to count out System Shock 2, especially considering it's kind of a legendary game. I haven't played it. I'm waiting for the remake. Actually, I'm going to play that as my first one because I think that'll be interesting perspective to get. But I know its legacy. I know how respected it is. I've seen some playthroughs of it, some parts of it. So I mean, I'm going to vote for System Shock 2 no matter what because Silent Hill Shattered Memories is one of the games on this list that barely barely classifies as a video game in my opinion.
That I
running
can
away
actually agree a lot with, honestly.
You're just running from a single monster type, and then when the monster's not there, you're just walking through empty spaces of nothing.
It feels more like a puzzle game than anything.
It barely even that. The puzzles are like, move the can or flick the switch, or they're just like baby mode puzzles, and you're reading all these notes and getting voicemail messages that have nothing to do with anything, and and the fact that it uses the character names of the original Silent
That
Hill,
is what
story
pisses
that has
me off the most.
nothing to do with Silent Hill.
Yeah.
It's one of those rare times that you can literally say in name only. It is Silent Hill in name only.
I agree.
So yeah, I want it to lose, and I hope it does. And let's see what System Shock 2 has. We'll see.
Rooting for you, System Shock 2. So
Everybody, get out there and vote.
yeah, for sure. So it seems like everybody's rooting for System Shock 2 here, right? We're all on the same page, rooting for System Shock 2. A lot of us don't have a lot of confidence in it, but we're all rooting for it.
I'll be right back. My washer is making a weird noise.
Okay. We're down to the
Love it.
last
It's me.
3. Oh, what happened? What did you say, Mayo?
No, I was just saying that's me, not his washer.
Okay, so we're down to the last 3 matchups. So this is the next matchup that I was really excited to talk about, and the reason being is because it has nothing to do with the matchup that they're going up against. Like Doki Doki versus Alan Wake isn't the thing I want to really talk about. We'll talk about that in just a second. The thing I want to talk about is what happened in the preliminaries, or not the preliminaries, the round 1 for both of these, because I am really shocked about how both of these polls went, and I'm really upset about how both of these polls went. First off, Doki Doki Literature Club, it won, but it barely beat Clock Tower 3, which is unbelievable to me. Doki Doki Literature Club, like I was freaking this is when I was telling you guys earlier how I was sweating bullets about a matchup that was going on. It was this one. I could not believe Doki Doki Literature Club. Like it was losing at points there in the poll. It was at like 46, 45% at some points there in the poll. I'm like, this is fucking crazy. Like I know Clock Tower 3 is a good game. It's it's okay game, but like Doki Literature Club is one of the best like psychological like fuck with your mind like type of horror games out there. And I was heartbroken watching this poll for the longest time. Thankfully, it made it through. But the fact that it barely made it through against Clock Tower 3 tells me that this game has no chance against this next entry, Alan Wake. Which
Oh,
brings
it's going against Alan Wake.
which is
Game
exactly why I'm also pissed off about the other side of the matchup of this one, because Alan Wake beat Tormented Souls, which
Jesus,
Tormented
bad.
Souls is one of my
What?
favorite like indie survival horror games of all time.
What a crime. 80
Yeah,
20? 80
by
20.
80% to 20%, Alan Wake murdered Tormented Souls. And I'm like, what the fuck? Listen, I'm all for people having their own opinions. I respect your opinions. I get it. But what the fuck? Like 80% to 20%, Alan Wake, the clunky ass original first game where you put your flashlight against random like floating chairs and shit, somehow beat Tormented Souls, one of the best indie survival horror games of the last like 5 years, like if not ever. Like I love Tormented Souls. Yeah, the dialogue sucked, fine, whatever, but the gameplay was like classic survival horror at its best. And man, this was heartbreaking. Both of these polls were heartbreaking to watch, and I could not. Oh my god, it's hard talking about this because like I said, Doki Doki did win, which is why I wanted to win, but it shouldn't have won that close. And then Alan Wake just like beat the shit out of one of my favorite games in this tournament. So
Dude, we lost Signalis. We lost Signalis and
We lost
Tormented
Signalis
Souls
too.
in
So
round
Signalis
one.
and
And
Tormented Souls.
And Crow Country too.
Yep.
They're all out.
So Tormented
Ridiculous.
Souls, Signalis, and Crow Country were actually the big motivation as to why I kind of want to do that indie horror game tournament, because I was so pissed when I saw Tormented Souls. So earlier you were talking about how you said Signalis was I think the closest. What do you say about Signalis comparing it to Resident Evil or classic survival horror, whatever? Forgot what you were
Me?
saying about it. Yeah, you were saying something about Signalis
Yeah,
like
I
that.
said Signalis. Signalis is one of the only modern survival horror
Okay.
games that I can legitimately put in the same tier as the Silent Hill trilogy.
Okay, so your belief on that is how I feel about Tormented Souls. Tormented Souls is
Fair.
what I would say about that, because that came out in 2021. So Tormented Souls is I had that same like I have Tormented Souls on that same pedestal that you have Signalis on, and that it broke me. It broke me because these polls got posted in the same day, by the way. So it broke me watching Doki Doki Literature Club almost lose to fucking Clock Tower 3, and then it broke me even more watching Alan Wake not just beat it, Tormented Souls, one of my favorite survival horror games out there, but literally just beat it down. Like it would not just stop kicking poor Tormented Souls while she was down. And I'm like, Jesus, get off of her, please. Oh man, that was heartbreaking. Anyways, so now we have Doki Doki Literature Club against Alan Wake, and I have a very, very hate relationship for Alan Wake right now because of what it did to my Tormented Souls. So I am 100% going Doki Doki Literature Club here. I probably would anyways, because I think the first Alan Wake game is pretty clunky, extremely clunky actually. And
I like that game, but it's not that fantastic.
No, I think that game is overly hyped, honestly.
It's carried on vibes.
It is. It did some cool things, but I do think it's overly. People remember it being a lot better than it actually was. So in Doki Doki Literature Club, it's literally in a tier of its own. It's one of the best. Like fuck with your mind. Like you play this game, it will fuck with your mind. I don't recommend playing this game if you're worried about like. I don't even want to jump into the topics that this game covers, but like it does some really disturbing stuff, but it will fuck with your mind, and it's a really, really great game. So I'm gonna go for Doki Doki. It's probably gonna be Alan Wake, seeing what it did to my Tormented Souls. I would not be surprised. I would do the same thing
swear
to
to God.
Doki Doki. But yeah, I know I talked a lot, so this is all you guys now. Continue. Whoever wants to go next.
Alan Wake was okay. I played the first one. It was extremely clunky. I didn't like it. It was overhyped, to be honest, for me at least. But in comparison to Doki Doki Literature Club, let me freaking tell you, this is probably like the first game and only game that's ever done this to me, is to make me stop playing the game for at least 5 hours. No game has ever done that to me before. This game actually like did something psychological to me. I had to actually stop playing the game. It affected me that bad. But I ended up coming back, beating it or whatever. But this game does something so unique when it comes to, I don't even want to spoil it. I'm not going to mention it, but
Mhm.
if you are going to play the game, listen to the warnings, because I haven't, and it fucked me up. So please, if you're going to listen to the game, or play the game, I should say, listen to the freaking warnings. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's insane. I
It's brutal.
honestly think it's it was gonna be my first Dark Horse to win, but a lot of people don't know about this game too much. So I ended up
Clearly.
picking The Last of Us. Yeah.
Clearly,
But,
with the kid only 53 against Clock Tower
Man,
3.
this game is jeez, man. It screwed with me. Holy shit.
Cool.
I don't know.
Starlight,
I
have you come? Oh, Mayo, you're starting. Go ahead, Mayo. What you got?
Yeah, I'll go. I haven't played Doki Doki. I want to because you guys talk so highly of it. I'm just gonna pick it by default because I'm not really a fan of Alan Wake. I played it for like 4 hours and I said nope. Yeah, and just out of spite for taking my boy out, or my girl rather, Tormented Souls. Get out of here, Alan Wake. No one wants you. You're done. But it's probably gonna win.
Yeah, it probably is gonna win, but you know, justice for Tormented Souls, chat.
Yeah.
Justice for Tormented Souls. All right, what do you got, Starlight?
You guys said pretty much everything I was going to say. I'm picking Doki Doki. Yeah, it's been pretty well covered already.
Alright. We'll move on to the next matchup. We got two more, and then we're out of here. So we got Dead Space 2, which took out Slender, the A pages, 90 to 10%. Not too shocking there, honestly. Dead Space 2 is a masterpiece. And it's taking on another masterpiece, in my opinion, Manhunt, which brutally destroyed Dredge. So we got Dead Space 2 versus Manhunt. I think both of these games are phenomenal horror games. I think they're great. I think they're great horror games for two different completely reasons, though. I mean, you got sci-fi horror that's really good with like atmospheric like type of things, and then you got like brutality like horror, like brutal, gory like horror, which I guess Dead Space also kind of jumps into too a little bit. But yeah, so I think these are both amazing games, but Dead Space 2 is still, I mean, that is like top tier like horror game right there for me. I love Dead Space 2. I go back and forth between if I like the remake of Dead Space 1 or Dead Space 2 better. Like those are my top two games, and it's mainly just because Dead Space remake visually just sets the atmosphere like itself, and you know, it's kind of unfair to compare them because of how much, you know, advancements there have been in, you know, the video game industry since Dead Space 2 came out. But the remake just does a really good job with this the setting of the Ishimura. But Dead Space 2, man, it is incredible, amazing. Those exploding babies piss me off though, but still, Dead Space 2 is great. So I'm gonna go with Dead Space 2.
For what you said about the graphics, I honestly think Manhunt would be worse if it had better graphics.
Yeah.
Part
yeah.
of why that game feels so grungy and genuinely gross is just the design and the quality of it. It feels like I shouldn't have it most of the time. Like it feels like I should be playing it, even if most of the time it's not that outwardly gory. You're just like walking around a basically black hallway. It's so perfect at what it is as is, but I hate that I have to pick between both of these. Ugh.
It's a tough one for sure.
I need to play Manhunt. I really do.
should.
So I'm going Dead Space 2 by default. One of my favorite games of all time. That's Dead Space. Yeah. Just like a near 10 out of 10 experience. Dead Space 2.
Cool. What was your answer, Starlight? Because I know you said it was.
I don't know.
You don't know how to pick.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Since I voted for Dead Space on the other poll, I'm gonna vote for Manhunt for this one.
Fair.
Oh, you voted for Dredge over Manhunt then?
No, the other poll with Dead Space in it with Darkwood. I voted for Dead Space there.
Okay. That
So I'm
makes
gonna vote
sense.
for Manhunt here.
Okay, that's what we meant. Okay, what about you, Conjured?
I think I'm a refrain because I haven't played Manhunt in such a long time. Although I did play Dead Space 2 pretty recent. I'm gonna still refrain. But I think I don't know. Yeah, I'm gonna refrain from this completely.
Fair. All right. Final matchup, and it's a big one. It's a big one, but we know who's gonna win. Two of the scariest games I've ever played, by the way. Resident Evil 7 versus Visage. So you have obviously a Resident Evil game, completely different direction that took the franchise in whenever it released. It went from RE6 to this, and it kind of went back to its horror roots, but it went first person. And it was a phenomenal, it was a masterpiece. And obviously when it kind of started leading you towards Village, which was a bad direction, but yeah, Resident Evil 7 is incredible. But then you also have Visage, which I really believe Visage is like one of the best, like scariest horror games out there. Like I would put it, I might even say it's the best like walking horror simulator. I want to say it might even be PT in my opinion. I know it's inspired by PT, but I think it might be scarier than PT, and I think it's phenomenal. So this one's great. It's an awesome matchup, but you know you're putting Visage, a horror walking simulator, against one of the best like horror games out there in my opinion, Resident Evil 7. It's really, really hard to compete with the juggernaut that's Resident Evil 7. And I got to give it to Resident Evil 7 on both which one I think should move on and the one that will probably easily win. It's probably going to be like 90-10. It's going to dominate Visage. But what do you guys got?
I'm going for Visage. I feel like
Really?
both of these games I think both of these games are trying to replicate what PT started, and I feel like Visage done a way better job at replicating that idea better than Resident Evil 7 did.
That's true.
So I pick Visage for that.
Okay. Starlight?
I'm gonna pick RE7. It's RE7 is honestly like the whole package because it's got just amazing main game. It's got Madhouse and Ethan Must Die. So if you want to replay it, you have those other two modes to like re-experience the game. And Ethan Must Die is basically just a built-in randomizer, which is awesome. It has some of the best DLC in the series. It's such a good package for a Resident Evil game. And like I Visage looks cool. I'll admit I haven't played Visage, but like most any matchup against Resident Evil 7, I'd still give it to Resident Evil 7 just because of it's just such a quality game. It's just so like well built and well designed. It's so good.
Nice. Nah, I respect that. What do you got, Mayo?
I haven't played Visage, but I've seen it, and it looks like something that I should play, at least to see what it's all about. But I like RE7 mostly, kind of 50-50 on some aspects of it, but I love what it did. It brought horror back into the mainstream and showed that you could do this again.
For a
It showed
time it
that
did.
there's-
And then it
showed
fucked it up the very
it-
next game.
No, it didn't, because it led to the RE2 remake.
Yeah, I guess that's true, yeah.
And both of those games proved that survival horror can be mainstream and be successful if you do it right and with the right
Mhm.
IP. But it came from RE7, which was a huge success. So respect to RE7, and I hope it goes far. Unless
Cool.
it goes up against Dead Space 2, and then I want it to lose.
That's exactly what it's going up against next if it makes it past here,
Yeah.
probably. So all right. So with that, we finished round 2. I don't know how this is possible, but I think we took longer this time. And I'm trying to figure out how that happened. Did we take more than 3 hours last
Really?
time?
It feels quicker.
I don't remember.
We took
Well-
more than 3 last time.
We did take more than 3. Okay, we're at 3 hours right now, so it seems like we took more than we did last time. So, but I don't remember how long it took us last time. Either way, it still took us a shit ton more time than I thought it was gonna take. But with us having like half the amount of matchups, but this time next round for sure should not take nearly as long.
Last time was 3 hours 15 minutes.
okay. So yeah, it's almost the same amount of time, and we had the exact same matchups. So
Unless we're
that's,
gonna have like a 3-hour grand finals.
yeah, we're just
Hey,
gonna
fine
talk
by
about
me.
one matchup for fucking 3 hours. um,
We'll just
yeah,
summarize the game like every good video essay YouTuber does.
there you go. Yeah, so that's it for round 2. So those are our predictions for round 2. Before we move on and let you guys all go, I just want to get ask you guys quick question. Really start off with, what is your dark horse? Like, which game do you think is going to win this entire tournament, but most people wouldn't think would win it? So obviously I think Resident Evil 4 is going to win, but most people would think Resident Evil 4 Remake's probably going to win because it's really popular. So what is your dark horse that might surprise people at winning this entire
Wait,
tournament?
I have a question.
Sure.
Does a dark horse have to be something you think is going to win, or a dark horse is something that you think is going to go way farther than you think?
We can do the. How about you?
Because picking a winner is a big deal.
Let's say that's going to go a lot farther than people would think. But if you want to throw out something that also you think might actually win,
Sure.
too,
Sure.
do that too. So just do it both. We'll just do it that way. If you guys need a second to think, that's fine too. I think I might already have mine anyways. Unless one of you guys have yours already.
I already said
think-
mine earlier. I said it was my pick was Alan Wake 2. I think it's
Oh,
going to go
that's right.
further. I think it's going to go further than we might expect. Yeah, that's my pick over the obvious leaders, you know. And then my big bet is that Fear 2 takes out Last of Us 2.
Nice. So Fear 2 takes out The Last of Us 2. Okay, gotcha. All right. And then I think Conjure, you already know what yours is too, right?
Yeah, I picked
you
The
mentioned
Last of
earlier.
Us because, again, I feel like that's the only game in this list that has like the very full package when it comes to the multiplayer, the story, gameplay. It's pretty much it.
Cool. And you
I
think that
think-
one's gonna win the whole thing, or you think it's
I
just gonna go
I
far?
I think it's gonna go pretty far, and then the bias is gonna kick in with RE.
Gotcha. All right. But if a Resident Evil game doesn't win, you think that it would probably be The Last of Us?
Yeah.
Okay. And what about you, Starlight? What do you got?
I think the Walking Dead Telltale series has a pretty good chance of getting to round 5.
Really? I see
So
what you're going
that's my
against.
pick for that. The only real direct competition it has is Resident Evil 2
Village.
Remake.
Oh, well, that's not until round 5 though, right?
Yeah. But I think people are going to vote for that over Left 4 Dead 2. I think they're going to vote for it over BioShock or Village or Outbreak or whoever wins that mess. And I think it's going to win over Silent Hill 3. And Resident Evil 1 Remake. So it's either going to lose to 1 or 2 Remake. But otherwise, I think it's going to sweep. Because people love that game.
Gotcha. And then what about you? Oh, wait, no, that's everybody, right? That's everybody except for me. Yeah, that's everybody. Okay, so
I think so.
so I've been going back and forth on here and trying to think which one I'm gonna pick because I want to pick something different, you guys. I think I am going to go with, I think Layers of Fear is gonna just dominate it. Nah, I'm kidding. We're gonna go with I'll go with Fatal Frame 2. I think Fatal Frame 2 Crimson Butterfly. It's only running up to one thing that I think would beat it, which would be Silent Hill 2 Remake in round 4. If it can make it past that, then I don't think it's gonna really have any competition until probably the semifinals when it goes up against either Resident Evil 2. Yeah, it will go up against Resident Evil 2. So yeah, Resident Evil 2 Remake will be the next time it has like competition. Silent Hill 2 Remake will be its biggest competition, I think. And as long as recency bias doesn't play a part there, I feel like Fatal Frame 2 Crimson Butterfly should be able to beat it. But yeah, so I think it's going to dominate Forbidden Siren. I think it'll be Fear 2 or The Last of Us 2. And I think it's a really good game. It deserves it. If I had to pick one other game, the other one I was in between, and I don't personally love this game as much as most people do, but I saw a lot of people defending the hell out of this game. It would be Bloodborne. I think Bloodborne might shock some people.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of defenders of Bloodborne, and I think people are might be shocked how far Bloodborne makes it in this tournament, and it could go pretty deep into the tournament. So I wouldn't be surprised if Bloodborne makes it far, but I'm gonna pick Crimson Butterfly as my pick. and we'll see how
That's
that
a good
goes.
pick.
Cool. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining me. I'm gonna go ahead and let the chat go. Go say goodbye to chat. Before we let you guys go, you guys want to let everybody know where they can find you? We'll start with you, Under the Mayo.
Yeah. Under the Mayo on YouTube and Twitter, and got some. I got a big Resident Evil 3 video coming out soon about why Resident Evil 3 is the true sequel and not Code Veronica.
Ooh,
Look forward to that. That's gonna be fun.
yeah. You love getting those comments stirred up, don't you?
Oh man, it's like a spoonful of sugar, man. It's just
Speaking of which, definitely go check out his Code Veronica video. It's really good. You know, your boy gets a little
you.
quick shout out at the beginning of it, but yeah, it was really good. I
you.
appreciate it. Like I said, we might disagree. I mess with these people all the time. Like I love picking on them by their opinions and stuff. Disagree with them. But let's face it, it's just all fun and games. I just like bickering with people, and you guys are all really fun to do that with. So, but yeah, might disagree with you on some of your opinions, but that Code Veronica video was fire as hell. Definitely go check it out, guys.
Oh, thank you, appreciate it.
And Conjured, I'm sure my community knows you pretty well by now. So, but if you want to let them know where they can find you and what you got going on your channel.
You guys can find me at Conjured Lion on YouTube, obviously. I'm working on 2 new videos. I won't spoil it yet, but I'm also streaming on Monday, finishing up, or hopefully finishing up, Silent Hill 4 The Room. And that's pretty much it.
Nice. Cool. And then last but not least, we got Better in Starlight. You know, I've collabed with you before on that one video. I think it was the weapons, not on the melee weapons, I believe is what we did.
Yep.
And trying to help collab with you again. I've just been crazy busy. But I do want to do
You're
that
good.
challenge with you. We got to do that hot dogger challenge. I'm ready to do it. Let's do it.
We do. I don't know when, but we definitely should sooner than later.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, let everybody know where they can find you and a little bit about your channel.
You can find me on YouTube, Shock and Awe. I'm also on Twitter, but I mostly just retweet fan art and stupid bullshit over there. So don't worry about following me over there. I mostly make Resident Evil videos. Lately, I've been trying to branch out a little bit where I can because playing one game series over and over is frying me. But I have a Tomb Raider video coming out hopefully beginning of next week. And then I'm also working on ranking every boss in the Resident Evil series. And that's going to be interesting because there's like 140 of them.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's what I got going on.
Cool. All right. Well, again, thank you all 3 of you for joining this. Hopefully we'll get you on round 3 once we know when that is. Maybe I'll do 1 poll a day, maybe 2 after talking to you better in Starlight. You got to tell me how to work this feature that I did not know about.
Yep.
We'll talk more about that later, but yeah, thank you so much for joining it. I'll let you know once we have the next one scheduled, and hopefully we can get some more other creators on because next tournament, next round should be a hell of a lot shorter. I say that, but I said that last time. But you know, next one will be 16 matchups, so we go from 32 to 16 matchups, so there's not that many matchups in the next one, so it should be a lot shorter. But again, thank you so much for joining, and I'll talk to you all soon.
Bye, chat.
Bye, chat.
Later. All right, guys. So that's pretty much it for today. So I am gonna stream. What I want to know from you guys in the chat is I was gonna do Dead by Daylight, but I don't know how many of you guys are actually still around. So if you guys want to stream some Dead by Daylight, we can stream some Dead by
Yeah,
Daylight.
he's muted and
And I can
think we're
jump
done.
off. I'm gonna go say
So,
goodbye to
guys,
the
thanks for
peeps
the
thing, and
conversation.
then
It's
I'll
been
come
fun.
back on and start
Yeah,
my
no
own
problem.
stream.
Yeah, it's
So we
been
can play
super
Dead by
fun.
Daylight, but I want to make sure there's
Yeah,
enough
until next
enough
time.
of you guys in the
Yep,
community
yep.
that want to play
See you
Dead by
next
Daylight
time.
today.
Bye-bye.
If not, I might just do a BioRan randomizer for a little bit of Resident Evil, a classic Resident Evil 2.
Man, like
maybe.
halfway through stream, I got hit
So
with
you
a
guys can
wall
just
of
let me
tired.
know
I
in
was
the
like,
chat.
Me
oh,
too.
God.
Oh my god,
If
I
you
am.
rather do a
I'm in like a
BioRan
dream state
or,
right now, which is why I'm like
Dead by
super.
Daylight. If
hyper
we're
in
gonna
a
do Dead by
sense.
Daylight, I want to know how many of you guys are gonna play.
I'm just
because It's a
blabbering.
community stream. If there's not gonna be a
Yeah.
lot of you guys playing,
I haven't eaten yet today,
I
so I started to
might,
get the headache.
I might do a
So I'm
BioRan
just like,
randomizer.
oh
instead.
no,
So let me
you
know in the
got
chat how
one
many of you guys are gonna
those.
play if
Oh,
we do a
hell
Dead by
no.
Daylight stream.
So
But I
I
will
was
see
just
you
like,
guys in
I'm just
about
gonna get
10,
some
15
water,
minutes.
and then it
Let me
didn't
know,
help, so I
and
started
I'll talk to you
eating
soon.
these like
Bye.
weird nougat Easter candies, and that just made it worse.